Welcome to America's Day at the Races on Fox Sports 2. It's brought to you in part by America's Best Racing, for the love of the race. Visit AmericasBestRacing.net today. Good to have you with us as we continue on into another week of action here at Belmont Park. Fans soaking in the sun and the fun, because we have a good card this afternoon. 8 races. We're going to bring you all 8. Greg Wolf alongside New York Racing Association handicapper Andy Serling, and we're going to kick off the card with a grade 1 over the jumps. But overall, competitive card today. The late pick 5 should be interesting.
Yeah, no, I agree. There's some very interesting races. I think the maiden races for the 2-year-olds, I believe it's the 5th race, going 6 furlongs, and the last race as well. They are competitive races, an interesting 1.25-mile race. And we kick it off, believe it or not, with our first grade 1 of the Belmont Park meeting.
Yes, and going to be going a ways in this one. 2.5 miles in the Lonesome Glory handicap. And we have a multiple grade 1 winner from Saratoga. Won 2 grade 1s at the meet there in Winston-Sea on the outside. But you win those races, you get penalized. Now carrying 160 pounds, which is as much as 18 pounds more as some others in this race.
I could have ridden him. I don't know if I
have
wanted
fared?
over the jumps. Poorly. I think he would not be 3 to 4 to 5 if I was riding him. Not only that, we've got the leading female jump rider in Ireland riding here.
Yeah, there she is on Bedrock. That's Rachel Blackmore.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. She, the last 2 years, leading female jump rider in Ireland. She rode there 2 days ago, and I believe she's going back and riding tomorrow as well. First time in the States.
That is logging a lot of miles in a short amount of time. 10 to 1 on Bedrock in this spot. But no question, the one to beat on the outside, 4 to 5 favorite. That is the 9, Winston-Sea, trying to make it a triple here with 3 grade 1s in a row for Hall of Famer Jonathan Shepard. And we're just about set for a start. We'll send it upstairs to the voice of New York Racing for the call, Larry Colmus, with the grade 1 Lonesome Glory here from Belmont.
The horses are lining up for the start, and the flag is up. We're going to do this again here as number 1, Scorpiancer, hesitated there, and they're going to line these horses up one more time for the start of the Lonesome Glory. Bit of a delay here.
So we will try again.
Well,
Unique start, though, as we're used to seeing from these jump races.
Right, we run from the tape. They do not start from a starting gate. I do want to remind people that, like yesterday, with an 8-race card, the early pick 5 begins with this race. It's obviously, we usually don't have them for the steeplechase races, but it becomes impossible sort of offer all the multis if we don't start here. Situation, the jump race. It's an interesting race because you've got the top 3 finishers out of the grade 1 Iroquois in here as well, run at the very demanding Percy Warner racetrack. Scorpion Dancer was the winner of that race, but Moscato, the number 2, who was off a 2-year layoff coming actually in his race before that, he's the one that the money's going to, as he had a pretty tough trip in that race and probably was best.
3 to 1 on Moscato, grade 3 winner. As Andy mentioned a couple starts back, that was his first start in about a year and a half. So we will try again. They're behind the flag and lining up. So let's send it again upstairs to Larry Colmus for the grade 1 Lonesome Glory.
And again, the field beginning to line up here is Winston-Sea. The Smithwick and New York Turf Riders winner is at odds of 4 to 5 right now. In this field of 9 runners that will be going 2.5 miles over the Belmont turf, and once again the flag is up. They're off in the Lonesome Glory. And it's Scorpiancer and Surprising Soul with Bedrock and All the Way Jose to take him to that first fence. These 4 up and over there ahead of Hinterland and Radishan. Then a break of another 2 lengths more back to Moscato, who races on the inside of Winston-Sea, and Belisarius is between those 2. So they make their way around this first turn. Surprising Soul the leader. On the outside is All the Way Jose in second. Scorpiancer tracks them in 3rd position early, and then it's Bedrock in 4th as they head toward the back stretch. Hinterland, the 11-year-old veteran here, is back in 5th, and he's 6 lengths off the lead. Radishan tracks him, and then it's Belisarius, followed by Moscato. The favorite, Winston-Sea, at the back of the pack early on, and he's 11 lengths off the lead as they make their way to the back stretch. and these 3 backstretch fences will come up with Surprising Soul and Ross Garrity to take them over there first. So it is Surprising Soul, the leader, by 2.5 lengths, going over there. All the way Jose is away in second, and then it's Scorpiancer in third, followed by Bedrock and Hinterland. In behind them, Radishan, and then it's Moscato, Belisarius, and Winston C. is the trailer. So 3 fences completed here, and it is going to be Surprising Soul to the 4th flight. Up and over there from all the way Jose. Scorpiancer is third at this point. He won this race back in 2016, and the Eclipse champion of 2017 is Scorpiancer, and he's 5.5 lengths from the front. Then Bedrock and Hinterland on the inside. Radishan is in behind them, then Belisarius. Moscato is second last, and Winston C., the Smithwick and Turf Riders winner, is still biding his time there, 12 lengths off of Surprising Soul, who continues to make this pace as they come into the stretch with a lap to go. So as they enter the stretch, Surprising Soul is still this pacemaker over all the way Jose. And here is fence number 5. And the field clears well here as they come to the 6th. Surprising Soul up and over there from all the way Jose. And then comes Scorpiancer in third with 1 lap to go. Hinterland is fourth on the inside of Bedrock, and right behind them is Radishan, followed by Belisarius, Moscato, and Winston C. under that 160-pound impost is still the trailer. So they go over there, all clearing that fence well. That's number 7 of 10. Those 3 backstretch fences remain, and Surprising Soul will take them to the clubhouse turn in the clear by 1.5 lengths. He's been chased all the way by all the way Jose, and they've got 2.5 lengths on Scorpiancer, who continues to race in third. Bedrock and Rachel Blackmore fourth on the outside. They've got 5.5 lengths to make up, and then comes Hinterland and Radishan, and they're being followed by Belisarius. Winston C. is still at the rear of the field outside of Moscato as they enter the backstretch. Surprising Soul and all the way Jose, nothing's changed so far. It's been these 2 leading the pack all the way around. And here they come to the backstretch fences, all clearing there, and a bobble at the back by Moscato. Moscato bobbled coming over that fence. It is Surprising Soul over there first, all clearing well here. All the way Jose is still second. Winston C. still near the back of the pack. He's got 2 beaten at this stage as they go over this final fence. And all clear that one too, and now it's a flat race with Surprising Soul and Ross Garrity in front all the way over all the way Jose so far. And then it's Scorpiancer, followed by Hinterland. Winston C. is closing a bit on the inside. He's still 6 lengths behind as they make their way around the turn. Then comes Radishan. So Surprising Soul's going to try to take him from start to finish in this 2.5-mile Lonesome Glory. He's still in charge as they turn for home and come inside these 2 fences. It is still Surprising Soul from all the way Jose. Hinterland is third. Winston C. is fourth. It is still Surprising Soul, and he's got plenty left in the tank here. Ross Garrity and Surprising Soul from Flagfall to That's All in the Lonesome Glory. They won it by 4 over Hinterland, all the way Jose and Winston C.
Surprising Soul, 17-1, takes them all the way on the front end. Was just second in the Grade 1 Iroquois and dismissed at a big price.
Yeah, I mean, the one Scorpiancer wins the race, is 6-1. Moscato, the 2, didn't do any running whatsoever, was 3-1. That was third. And Surprising Soul finished second with 17-1. Well, he galloped, Greg. This race was just over, right? I mean, nobody made a move of any kind whatsoever.
And yeah, hugely disappointing effort from your 4-5 favorite as well, Winston C.
Yeah, I mean, he was
never
buried.
threatened.
He was buried in the inside, but even when he gets clear, I mean, you see him sort of moving into 4th right there inside of horses. It's not like he did some sort of a significant amount of running. I mean, we don't know what the paces were like, but I get an impression that they weren't exactly moving up front here, Greg. How about the try here?
17-1 over 43-1 over 48-1. That should be pretty good if you had it. Richard Hendricks winning trainer, owned by Wendy Hendricks, and
Do you think our
Ross Garrity on board for the winning ride.
Do you think our ex-coworker, Liza Hendricks, might be here for the race?
Could have used the tip.
I didn't get a text. Did
I
you?
didn't either.
She's apparently in Australia cashing.
Well done.
Yeah.
We always root for the Hendricks family. Yeah, Liza used to be a big part of our show here. Richard Hendricks getting the job done with his 7-year-old by perfect soul. 6th win over the jumps. And somehow escaped at this huge price and got in with a big weight break as well.
Yeah, and it's interesting. We're seeing the family coming down. Joe Clancy's there as well. And Joe was on Talking Horse with me. He picked this horse 3rd. So obviously he wasn't, he didn't make some big speech. This horse had an absolutely perfect trip and was lucky to be 3rd. In fact, he picked this horse over Scorpiancer. And we missed the boat, Greg. I feel as though we should be rich right now. We blew it.
We got more opportunities, though, coming up.
Put him on top and use the favorite 4th in supers. All.
Is that something you do often?
Not often, but I'm thinking of starting if I could turn back the clock.
Track conditions, they're brought to you by Piranha Fly Spray, the preferred fly spray of Belmont Park. Main track fast, turf is firm, and we're going to bring you everything today. Flat racing starts in race 2 coming up. We also have live coverage from Churchill Downs. We'll bring you the 1st through the 5th. They are fast and firm in Louisville as well.
Well,
and we're
glad
gonna
to hear
preview-
they have good weather. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say we're going to preview the big weekend, too, with the Dogwood. Kofefe back in action, but wow, she looks hard to beat in that race.
She does. I thought Champagne Anyone cutting back in distance might be the other horse in there.
Okay.
Bet an exacta, but it's going to be tough to beat Kofefe.
We'll preview that ahead. Get signed up, start at play along. You can bet all these races, our weekend action, and all the action from the fall meet here at Belmont and beyond with Naira Bets. $200 new member bonus when you use the promo code LIVE at sign up. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime with NairaBets.com. All right, race 2 is going to kick off the early pick 4. It's going to kick off our flat racing as well. Your best bet of the day. Where are you going to wind up?
7th race, actually,
Okay.
so I won't be here to have to take the grief the horse loses. Value Engineering, the 10 is probably the horse to beat, but like a lot of Chad Brown runners, like figures be over bet. I like the 3 Bluegrass Parkway, who hasn't been seen since May, actually running at Churchill Downs, and picks up Jose Ortiz and gets Jose Ortiz back, actually. I really think that he ran very well his first time trying to root. This is a 1.25 miles. He went 1 3/8 around 3 turns last time. And the rider made this ridiculous kamikaze move a half-mile out and circled the field from dead last 4 wide. Got to the front, but obviously that was too soon and moved too soon and tired late. I think with a better timed ride and a better ride just in general, I think Bluegrass Parkway could win this race. He's 8-1 morning line. I'd be very happy with a 5 or 6-1. I'm not convinced that Value Engineering has to win here, but he is the horse to beat. But I'll bet Bluegrass Parkway to win, and I'll use him with Value Engineering in the exacta.
I thought a great opportunity to try and beat Value Engineering. I'm not even sure if he is the horse to beat. He is because of whose name is the trainer.
I don't
Chad
disagree
Brown.
with you. I don't disagree. I think you're making a point. Listen, obviously he has room to improve. He's relatively lightly raced, but talking about a horse because the connections are probably about 7-5, and I don't think he looks 7-5 on paper, Greg.
Taking on multiple winners on the turf in that race. Hobo is an old veteran.
Yep.
And really the only time he went close to that distance, he ran very, very good.
Agree.
For David Donk. That's an intriguing race because of that. 17-1 start to our card. Can't wait to see what this trifecta comes back. 17-1 over 43-1 over 48-1. We'll be back. Set up the early pick 4 when we continue on America's Day at the Races, and Pat on the back in Graded Stakes Company. We'll preview the Kelso to come.
Run Happy was a really nice racehorse. The biggest attribute that I see about him is the way he stamps his foals. You know, they got big, pretty walks on them. They got good hips and shoulders. Very pretty to look at. And, you know, the real strong hind leg. You know, everything that you're looking for as a racehorse. You know, that's what impresses me.
Run Happy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
They're off. Bet the horses anywhere, anytime with Naira Bets.
Rushes out of there to take the lead.
It's easy on your computer or Naira Bets app. Earn valuable reward points on bets. Play in our exclusive promotions and earn cash rebates.
Off the turn with a link to the half lead.
Sign up now. Bet $200 and get $200.
The dramatic finish.
Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. NyraBets.com.
This proven son of Giants Causeway has sired 4 millionaires, including Claiborne Farm stallion Lee. Recent top runners include Cutting Humor, winner of the Grade 3 Sunland Park Derby, plus 3-time graded stakes winner Sharp Samurai, and international star Shamal Nibras. This year, his 2-year-olds have brought prices up to $310,000. First Samurai, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Back on America's Day at the Races, it is, of course, brought to you in part by Claiborne Farm. 100 years of doing the usual, unusually well. Beautiful weather here on this Thursday afternoon in a Grade 1 jump race to kick off our Thursday card. Won by 17 to 1 long shot. Surprising soul for Richard Hendricks.
Yeah, and you got $3,000 for the try for 50 cents and $1,742 for the super for a dime. So some pretty strong payoffs if you manage to be smart. And after the race, Greg and I were very smart on Surprising Soul. But I agree. It's sort of weird looking at it afterwards and understanding that price.
Owned by Richard Hendricks' mother, Wendy Hendricks. So all in the family with this huge upset score. We have some big races coming up this weekend that we are very much looking forward to the card here at Belmont Park, including Pat on the Back jumping away from State Bred Company to tackle Open Graded Stakes Company in the Kelso.
Yeah, I mean, he tried the Cigar Mile and obviously had mixed results. Didn't run badly in there. But you have to think he fits in here. It's an interesting field. Catholic Boy didn't make it, but it seems to be the year where a lot of horses are making it. Pat in the Back shows up and just seems to run well every time.
He's been first or second in 8 of 10 career tries here at Belmont. He had back-to-back wins against New York Breds in the Affirmed Success and Commentator before that streak came to an end against, Bon Raison ran a huge race at Saratoga in that 6-furlong sprint.
Yeah, and that was a race that really fell apart. And what happened with that, I mean, I think a lot of us came out of that race very surprised that Pat in the Back was in this front. And it was one of these situations where there wasn't much speed on paper, and he had inside post, and I think the connections, a lot of connections in there thought, there's not much speed, I'm going to be aggressive. And so he ended up getting a pretty fast pace, and I think it worked against him.
So Pat on the Back, 3-1 morning line. Morning line favorite, though, sent out by Todd Pletcher. John Velasquez will ride Prince Lucky, who came up with a huge effort in the state dinner back on July 7th at Belmont at 1 mile and a 16th, and won just about every step of the way on the front end.
Yeah, the good Prince Lucky of 2019 will be tough to beat in this race. I thought he ran well in this race. His efforts down in Florida obviously were very good. Didn't handle the slop in the Westchester. Had a wide trip in that super strong Met Mile when the rail was the place to be. I don't know if it was by design that Todd Pletcher hasn't run him now in almost 3 months, and maybe they were waiting for the Kelso. That worries me a little bit, but I think if the good Prince Lucky shows up, he's going to be very tough.
You think he'll be right around 2-1?
I think so. I mean, I wouldn't want to make anybody too strong a favorite in here.
Grade 2 Kelso, that is the 10th on the card on Saturday afternoon. We also have the Noble Damsel as the 8th on the card. Grade 3 mile on the turf. And significant form for trainer Chad Brown coming off a victory in that Molson spot, Saratoga.
I tell you what, I have an idea in the Kelso, win or lose. I found this Noble Damsel to be wide open, and one of the reasons is while significant form obviously can win this race, she benefited from a sensational ride and trip last time out in a race where I think a lot of horses could have won, and the John Velasquez ride was very much the difference in this race. Now, one of the things that helps her is there isn't a lot of speed. It does appear that the horse Valedictorian, the outside, is the controlling speed. I think significant form can sit second to her in a race that doesn't figure to have a ton of pace. I think that'll help her a lot.
Yeah, here's Valedictorian. 12 for 29 lifetime. 9 of those wins have come on the turf. For Kelly Breen, Joe Bravo will ride.
Yeah, now she's been traveling a lot. She went over and tried a stake race at Del Mar in her last start and finished a reasonably good 4th. This Eatontown, this is a better performance than it looks. I know she was a heavy favorite, but she got involved in a very torrid duel, and it looked like the field might swallow her up. Now, it wasn't the toughest of fields, but she drew off in the stretch, and she looks to be the controlling speed and is a major player.
Just part of what is a loaded weekend of Belmont Stakes action this weekend. Bertram Bongard on Friday. 2 stakes races we just previewed Saturday and Sunday. We have 3 of them headlined by the Grade 2 Gallant Bloom. And Come Dancing back in action. Disastrous beginning in the Grade 1 Ballerina. Didn't matter. Still was able to win that race. And I think as that race was being run, you had to wonder what was Javier Castellano doing. I guess he figured he had a ton of horse underneath him.
He did, and he ended up in the right part of the racetrack, and she was just much the best and dominated those horses. And the Good Come Dancing is going to win this race. Good Come Dancing will probably win the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Sprint, frankly. She's been terrific. There isn't a ton of competition, meaning there's a couple of state breds like Carrera Cat running in here. The winner of the Honorable Miss, who was scratched out of this race, she's entered, and she looks to be the speed in the outside, but I don't see why you're supposed to try to become dancing, Greg.
Especially not off this performance. This was sensational. After it looked like she had no chance at the beginning of this race, and still goes on to win as easy as could be by 3.5 lengths in that Grade 1 victory. She's putting together quite a year. Obviously, the matchup against Midnight Bijou, many have come up short against the leader of the division right now. But outside of that performance, she has been a very tough customer.
No, I agree. And that race may have proven a bit long for her best. They're doing the right thing to sign a sprint with her. And I mean, I'll be honest, I don't know who right now is supposed to be favored over her for the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Sprint. I'll give you an idea, and I have no idea if Connections would think of this. But I would, if Garana were mine and she were to win the cotillion, I would point to the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Sprint 7 furlongs. I think she would have a tough time winning that distaff this year. You think you keep her in training, maybe it's your goal next year as a 4-year-old. But I would think the Good Garana would be a horse that could maybe give her a bit of a toss-up.
Covfefe's going to be tough. We're going to see in the dogwood.
That's also true. Very good point.
Wouldn't you like to see, well, depending on what happens this weekend, if she decides to cut back or not, I don't know. But Serengeti Empress, giving her another shot. She was stuck on the inside. When the rail was not doing that well at Saratoga when she faced Covfefe.
Right. I think one of the points that you and I are sort of dancing around in making is that the biggest challenges to come dancing, if it develops that way, would be 3-year-olds.
Yeah.
The 3-year-old Philly turf sprinters actually look like a pretty strong group there, and I think as a group, they're stronger than the older horses sprinting.
With the exception of
Come Dancing. No,
one big one, yeah.
Well, with Marley's Freedom, she's not making the Breeders' Cup, and it just doesn't feel as though it's been a particularly strong group of older horses, and a relatively thin group as well.
Race 2 here at Belmont. It kicks off the early pick 4. It's a $25,000 maiden claiming group. Later Cat, 3 to 5 morning line. He has had 3 career starts, and this is a big drop down in class. Today's the day, or if today's not the day, good luck.
Today is supposed to be the day. I mean, you could look at it a couple of ways. He's getting the needed class relief. There's nobody here in great form or recent form, and maybe he's just found the right field. What I don't like is twofold. His best race was in a sloppy track, and each race he's run from a buyer speed figure perspective has been slower than the one before it.
We're approaching the 6-minute mark to post. We will send it downstairs and check in for the first time today with Maggie Wolfendale. Hi, Maggie.
Hey Greg, as we'll take a look at the inside runner. That's number 1, Our Honor. He will be returning to the races after a Saratoga hiatus. We didn't see him up there, and we haven't seen him since May, to be honest. And last time, I just wasn't in love with his overall appearance. I thought that, he was kind of pairing races back-to-back closely in the month of May. His weight didn't look quite as good as what I'd seen from him in the past, and now that he does come back off of that almost 4-month layoff, he looks better. He just looks healthier. His weight carriage is better, and I think he deserves a shot in here. Though I will say, physically, he is a horse that is a little more suited to going longer. He's kind of got that longer, even frame to him. And the last time he did turn back, which was a decent effort back on May 10th, he was really sharp that day. So it was kind of that turn back was in mind as far as getting him ready. Today, though, he's very, very quiet, and you would kind of think, since he is coming in fresh, he might possess a little bit more energy. So I like him, but like I said, I wish he was a little more alert, as we'll take a look at a horse who I think could, if they wanted to, provide some speed. That's number 3, Fortune Smiles, who, yes, has been a bit disappointing since dropping in for those maiden 25s up at Saratoga. And this is a mix of Open Company and New York breds, and it really isn't that tough of a spot. I think it's definitely lateral, if anything, as far as class is concerned for Fortune Smiles. But I like the fact that he comes back as a new gelding here for Ray Handel. He looks strong. He looks incredibly fit. I'm wondering if, with that kind of difference, if you will, he can get away a little bit more cleanly, brake sharply, have that speed, because I think that's how this horse could possibly finally break his maiden, as they are on the walking ring, Greg.
Maggie, thank you. Our post parade coming up here in just a moment. Ray Handel trains a 3, also has a horse to beat, likely in the last today as well. And Morality Clause, who will be stretching out and holds the keys likely to that race. We'll talk more about this field coming up when we return from a short timeout. You're watching America's Day at the Races on Fox Sports 2.
Each year, a new dream begins. To achieve that dream, you could never rest on past success.
Audible, no doubt about it. He won it by 2.5.
Yoshida storming home in the center. Yoshida! Yoshida has won the one word.
Wake up, little one. It's time to dream big.
It's America's original sport, and no one covers it better than americasbestracing.net. From the sport to the lifestyle, the best races, horses, and destination venues, cocktails, gambling, fashion, and more. americasbestracing.net is a sport for you. Live it, love it, bet it.
Whether you have Derby dreams or Midsummer Derby dreams, this is Tom Durkin to tell you a registered New York bred can take you there.
Diversify.
That New York bred Exact and the Whitney by multimillionaires Diversify and Mind Your Biscuits shows the kind of quality that allowed New York breds to earn more than $93 million on the world stage last year. On-track successes have spurred New York bred sales result. At the March OBS sale, Chestertown sold for $2 million. And this New York bred 2018 yearling brought $1 million at Saratoga. So get with the program at nybreds.com.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. Use promo code TRYRTN for a 5-day free trial.
Back on America's Day at the Races, our show brought to you in part by the champion sprinter, Run Happy. Never lost in his career while sprinting. Did it all while racing medication-free, and now stands out of that legendary stall number 1. You saw the names of Easy Goer, Secretariat, just a couple that have graced that legendary stall over the years. Now Run Happy does.
I saw Easy Goer in that stall. I saw Lure in that stall.
Wow.
Two pretty good names preceding the mighty Run Happy.
Incredible history of this farm, and now Run Happy, the next stage, as we're going to see his 2-year-olds hit the racetrack next year in 2020. Here comes our post parade. For race 2, we start off with Our Honor. Dominic Schettino ran for 30 maiden claiming, going long last start.
Yeah, he's my pick. He's a horse that's looking for identity and trying to find a distance. In his one sprint 2 back, he was very unlucky. A bad break cost him a win.
Flying Pleasantly, 0 for 24.
Yeah, he looks like an outlier here.
27-1 right now. Fortune Smiles, here's the Ray Handel runner, New Gelding. And we saw him at Saratoga. It didn't do a whole lot of running, adding blinkers.
I mean, if you want to be optimistic like Flying Pleasantly, their last race was his best race on the dirt still. He looks to be maybe an inside speed type, and I don't know if you want to be inside on yesterday's track at Belmont.
Wisecrack, another 0 for a lot, 0 for 24.
I will not make a wisecrack about this one.
Later Cat, even money, again, was 3 to 5 morning line, big drop down in class.
Well, as you said, Greg, it's supposed to be now or never, and he has run against significantly better.
Ravinio, warming up all by himself right there, the big favorite. Here's Ravinio. Nick Zito, son of Giants Causeway, 5 starts, has not yet hit the board.
Yeah, and he was no factor at all in off-the-turf race last time, where I thought maybe it gave him a chance. But, you know, his figures fit with some of the others in the year, and he's a price.
And Kazman Dude, you could definitely make a case for here on the outside. Lightly raced, this is just start number 3. He's hit the board in each of his first 2 starts.
I agree. I think he, along with Our Honor, are the 2 biggest threats to our favorite.
9-2 right now on Kazman Dude for Eduardo Jones. So 4-5 favoritism on Later Cat. I would not feel safe in any way, though, singling this horse in a pick 4.
No, I used the 1, 5, and 7 in here, and I like his outside, the 7's outside position. I mean, Later Cat, maybe it'll just be as simple as he's a maiden special to maiden claimer drop down. Well, it's not always as strong an angle with the New York breds. This is an open maiden claiming race, and he has faced some pretty good field in New York breds. But I don't like the fact that, as we pointed out, his first start, his best start, was on a sloppy sealed track, and each race he's run from a Beyer speed figure perspective has been a little bit worse than the one before it. And I'll tell you what, from a speed figure standpoint, his last effort gives him no real edge on quite a few here.
Approaching post time. Let's check in again trackside with Maggie.
Taking a look at your current 4-5 favorite, that is Later Cat. And, well, Andy brought up some negatives, certainly to poke holes in his form and the fact that he's going to be a heavy favorite in here. Physically, though, he does look like the horse to beat. He's just a bit bigger, stronger than many of his opposition, and he's warmed up quite nicely with Louis Saez aboard. So I think Later Cat finds himself the right field and hopefully doesn't keep running worse, because if that happens, then he's definitely not going to win, and maybe the horse that upsets him here is number 7, Kazman Dude. He is incredibly fit here at second, asking, this gray son of Bank Heist, and saddled on the walk back in the paddock, but behaved himself relatively well, is warming up nicely, kind of calmed down also a bit more once he got out on track. I'd love to see that with these horses, and there's some potential there. I feel like he has the potential, as his form would suggest, to kind of move up and keep possibly improving. So he is probably the main threat in here, and the more I watched him, the more I liked him, Greg.
All right, Maggie, thank you. As we take a look at the 7 in here, 9-2, Kazman Dude.
Well, he should be sitting in a particularly good spot, too, stalking outside as one of the 3 potential speeds, along with the number 3, Fortune Smiles, and the 5, Later Cat. And on yesterday's racetrack, there were only 3 dirt races, but they were dominated by horses making outside moves, unlike a track we've seen earlier. So if nothing else, at least the track was fairer yesterday, and I think that works in the favor of the like of Kazman Dudes. I'm not going to knock it. I don't like the field he's coming out of, but if Later Cat doesn't win the race, he's clearly one of the major players.
I think I'm with you. 7-2, Our Honor, getting back to sprinting.
Yeah.
I mean, a repeat of that, the last sprint, 2 back, that might be good enough to win here.
I agree. And his rider, Hector Diaz, is riding here. He does need to probably be conscious of how yesterday's track, which probably isn't, and maybe not be near the inside if that's a factor. But, you know, they come back 2 weeks after that race and stretched him out. And I know he'd run well going longer, but it feels like the horse he is now, his best race is a sprint, isn't it? And if he didn't get left that day, he would have won. And we talked about that race quite a bit in the show. And it wasn't Kendrick Carter's fault. He just broke 2 lengths beyond the field. He didn't break a beat slow. He broke 2 lengths beyond the field. And that just completely eliminated his chances, and he got nothing but trouble throughout that race.
That horse right there, though, no question, the one to beat. Yeah. Later Cat, 4-5. Rapoli stable. First time in for a tag here in start number 4. But it has been a troubling pattern, as Andy pointed out. Each race has been a little bit worse than the next. Start of the early pick 4. We send it upstairs to the voice of horse racing's Triple Crown for the call. Here's Larry Colmus.
Kazman Dude is the last one to step forward here, taking position in the outside stall. Stepping up and going in. And they're all in line. They're off. And it's Fortune Smiles out quickly to take the lead. Kazman Dude on the outside goes up with Later Cat 2. It's these 3 across the track early on. Wisecrack is away, 4th behind them. Then Ravenio to the outside of Our Honor. Flying Pleasantly is trailing the field. Fortune Smiles, Later Cat, Kazman Dude on the outside. These 3 race across the track with a half mile to go, completing this opening quarter mile in 22.68 seconds. Our Honor is making a move on the inside. Coming through traffic here and going to try to squeeze through an opening as they make their way around the turn. And then comes Wisecrack and Ravenio. So they make their way around this far turn, and Our Honor got through and now grabs a slight lead as they come toward the top of the stretch. From Later Cat, who's now put to pressure in second. Kazman Dude is third on the outside. Fortune Smiles has dropped back, and Wisecrack's trying to get going too. It is Kazman Dude to the outside of Our Honor. These two at the 8th pole, stride for stride. Our Honor inside, Kazman Dude on the outside. Later Cat has dropped back. It'll be off the board here as Our Honor has the rail in the lead. Our Honor and Hector Diaz Jr. pulling away to win it by 2.5 over Kazman Dude. And then it was Wisecrack in Ravenio.
Hugging that fence late. Our Honor gets the job done. 7th career start, graduates with a maiden score.
Yeah, and glad for Dominic Scatino. Always like to see Dominic do well, the trainer. And Hector Diaz coming back to town. And this was a good ride. He broke about a half slow, but Hector didn't panic, right? He knew that there were other speeds. He let him find his position. But then he found himself in the backstretch. They weren't going that quickly. He thought, I got horse. I got to get in there. And he split horses, and Larry Coleman's picking up on that. He was finding that seam between the leader, the 3 Fortune Smile, the 5 Later Cat. Went through the seam, and it felt like the number 7, actually. Kazman Dude was going to maybe beat him upper stretch, but he proved best in here. And as you say, racing towards the inside, at least in the stretch, and it alleviates any questions whether or not the rail's a bad place to be.
Kazman Dude decided to take a little bit of a right-hand turn here, too. As he gets right up to Our Honor, he said, oh, I don't like being this close. Veers out a little. Our Honor, smooth sailing to the wire. 3-1, where not just 3-1, 3-1 where you beat a 4-5 favorite to kick off the Pick 4.
And boy, the favorite Later Cat, I mean, what excuse did he have? He finished last in this race. He had absolutely nothing. And that's the thing with the drop downs, and we talked about it. Each race had gotten a little worse than the others. Obviously, he was the worst to beat, not saying that we suggested he wasn't, but Our Honor, a perfectly legitimate alternative, and 3-1, a good price.
Nice start. And how about the Pick 5 if you're alive? 17-1 over 3-1, beating a 4-5.
I wish I used the first winner, but I'm alive in the Pick 4.
Okay, there we go.
Play the Pick 5 today.
Baby steps. We're going to move on. Set up the third when we come back. Give you prices from Our Honor's victory here in the second when we return on America's Day at the Races. A lot more to come. Stay with us. We'll be back, including the start of the Empire 6.
With the exception of Frankel, Air Force Blue is Timeform's highest-rated juvenile in nearly 20 years. He was a 3-time Grade 1 winning champion juvenile.
Air Force Blue. Air Force Blue. A really good horse.
His first weanlings have sold for up to $210,000.
In the back, $210,000, Ralph. Thank you.
He's Warfront's best juvenile from a family of champions. A force on the track, a force in the ring. Air Force Blue.
They're off. Bet the horses anywhere, anytime with Naira Bets.
Rushes out of there to take the lead.
It's easy on your computer or Naira Bets app. Earn valuable reward points on bets. Play in our exclusive promotions and earn cash rebates.
Soft got a turn with a length and a half lead.
Sign up now. Bet $200 and get $200.
The dramatic finish.
Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. NairaBets.com.
You know, I think Run Happy has a lot of things going for him. Obviously, he's been very respected, and to, you know, to give people further incentive to buy them for where they can take an offspring, run it, and if they win, they're going to get a $100,000 bonus for each Run Happy they have. You know, it's another selling point from our perspective that really helps us promote the horses that we're representing and we're selling.
Run Happy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Back on America's Day at the Races, picture time for Our Honor, Dominic Scatino, who owns part of this 4-year-old by Union Rags as well, along with Robert Rosenthal.
Yeah, nice to see Dominic get the win. And Hector Diaz back in town as well. Imagine we'll be seeing Hector riding here this winter, and he's been doing well down at Monmouth. A good guy. Nice to see him doing well.
That dollar exacta, $18 back on Our Honor. Kazman Dude with the favorite out of the mix. Wisecrack completing pretty big trifecta there. 50 cents getting you 100 back with a 42-1 shot at third.
Bad value double though. $36 horse in the first, an $8.50.
Really?
Feels like, you know, the jumper, the steeplechase races, the pools may not be as big, and maybe some people bang this horse, use logical horses and hit it. still feels pretty good considering the way the horse looked in the first race.
Third race, 7 furlongs, main track. It is for non-winners of 3 Lifetime. Desert Lights, Gary Gullo, Irad Ortiz Jr. Current favorite just missed by a half length last time out with a 6-wide trip.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the reasons this horse is taking as much money as he is the Irad Ortiz for Benji Hernandez. And no knock on Benji. I think Benji rode the horse well, but Irad is a stronger rider than Benji, could help him. But you have 3 horses coming out of that race, the 2nd and 3rd and 4th finishers in here. In Thesis, who's the 6th today, and the 2 Dooley. They all finished the wire together. I wonder how strong it was as a race. And Mohican, the 5, is probably a more likely winner, but Mohican is just 2 for 6 Lifetime with 9 seconds and thirds. He's a little camera shy.
Coming up this weekend, 2 big races in their respective divisions at Parks. Her debut was incredibly brilliant. Her second start, maybe even, well, it was even more so. And then she won another Grade 1, so a 2-time Grade 1 winner for Guarana, but there's question marks after that performance in the Coaching Club American Oaks that leaves the door open a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I think the logical conclusion is that she ran better in the 1-turn races, the 7 furlong and mile races, her first 2 starts, than she did at a mile and 1/8. Now, there's other argument that they could have flaunted her speed a bit more in the CC Oaks, and maybe that made her job a little bit more difficult. But she's not going to be able to flaunt her speed in the cotillion, because with the likes of Serengeti Empress and Jaywalk in here, there's pace in this race, so she may actually have to rate, and that could make her a little vulnerable as well, but she's obviously very talented.
Still lightly raced. She has never tasted defeat. She's a multiple Grade 1 winner with 3 starts on her resume for Chad Brown, 3 Chimneys Farm, and Jose Ortiz has been aboard for all those 3 starts, but shying away and veering out in the stretch is a cause for some concern. That was the first time going beyond a mile. It's a lot to ask to move forward that quickly in just 3 starts and progress to a mile and 1/8 too.
And now she's had 2 months. They've been pointing for the cotillion since then, so she's had some time to grow up and mature, and obviously for Chad Brown and his team to work with her as well. Listen, she's the favorite here for a reason. She's very, very good, and it'll be interesting to see how things play out, because as of now, she and Dunbar Road are top 2 for contention for the Eclipse, but Serengeti Empress, you'd have to think, is sitting there in 3rd.
Yeah, not out of the mix by any stretch. Kentucky Oaks winner for trainer Tom Amos. She dueled and fought every step of the wire from the bad inside against Kofefe in the Grade 1 test.
Yeah, I mean, you know, she gets off the rail in the stretch, but she was down towards the inside for a bit, and she was also inside of Kofefe. So she was the hunted, not the hunter, and it gave Kofefe an edge that may have been the real reason she won the race. We don't know that for sure. But, you know, Serengeti Empress, besides that one bad race where she bled badly, she has a blowout win early in the year. She has the win in the Kentucky Oaks, and then she has a 2nd in the Acorn, and as well as the test. So if she were to win this race, I think it puts her very much in the conversation for 3-year-old filly honors.
Yeah, 7-2 morning line. It will be Irad Ortiz Jr. aboard. Tom Amos already knows the story of losing Jose aboard his Kentucky Oaks winner to ride someone else, and that someone else, of course, is Guarana, and that's going to be the case again. Bellafina, meanwhile, well, she was an absolute superstar early on in her career, had done very little wrong, and even in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies, when she didn't run well at Churchill Downs, she had an excuse that day. She's running out of excuses now.
She is, and there is beginning to be some real credence to the idea that she doesn't ship well, right? Because her bad races have been when she has shipped. And I think you have to ask yourself that question. I know it's $1 million, and to me, if you want to close her near Street Band more than Bellafina, because I like Street Band, I think she ran well in the Alabama, but why didn't they stay in California? Because the older fillies and mares out there aren't that strong. I know it's $1 million, but she'd be home, and it just seems like she's a better horse when she stays in California. Distance questions remain. She's a good horse, but is she good enough to win this, especially out of town and going 2 turns?
Maybe. Simon Callahan feels there were some excuses and wants to give her another shot before you decide we're not going to tackle all the big guns anymore.
Yeah, no, I think that's very fair, and this is the race you're supposed to do it, and if she wins this race, it puts her back in the conversation for the Eclipse. And listen, in the test, we saw some very, very good horses that completely failed to show up in that race. and they've come back and they've run much better in subsequent starts. So I'm going to give her a bit of a pass for that race where it felt like the first 2 ran and the others just evaporated. I don't want to give up on Bellafina. I just think it's a tough spot.
Meanwhile, the boys got to get their turn in the Penn Derby. Big story, of course, the defection of Maximum Security, who's now likely done for the year. We're not going to see him in the Breeders' Cup as well, so that means the door open and Improbable now becomes the favorite for Bob Baffert.
Yeah, and talking about it, Bob Baffert feels like they want to be aggressive with him. And Bob Baffert, one thing about Bob, he's not afraid to be aggressive. And I will say, Improbable's return, albeit against much weaker, was the race I think a lot of us expected to be running earlier in the year. Got a 104 buyer, and if he repeats an effort like that, he is the horse to beat in this race. But there's some talent in this field.
And did seem like we saw him have some issues in the gate, being a little bit unsettled, so maybe the blinkers definitely helped him get a little more focus. And of course, he's got arguably the best big money rider in the game on board in Mike Smith.
Yeah, he's the horse to beat in here, but I don't want to sell War of Will and Mr. Money short in here, and I think a lot of people are forgetting that War of Will spent a good deal of the Jim Dandy on the rail, which was very much not the place to be that day, and I think it gives him a legit excuse. Is he ready, though, to take that step forward? Because as good as his Preakness win was, is it necessarily good enough to beat some of the recent efforts of Mr. Money and Improbable?
This was his shining moment. Obviously impeded, race taken away from him. Who knows what could happen in the Kentucky Derby? No such trip like that in the Preakness as he won the middle jewel of the Triple Crown. Yet to see that kind of performance from him since.
Yeah, but you know, the 1.5 miles of the Belmont, it's an odd race, and I'm always willing to forgive a horse who doesn't run well in there, especially if they come back with a good performance. And he ran a 91 buyer in the Jim Dandy on the rail. What's so bad about that?
Yeah, can you make the? I mean, we don't know, but running in all 3 legs as well, the Triple Crown, that can take a lot out of you.
No question about it, but he's now had 2 months since the Jim Dandy, so hopefully he's ready to bounce back. But they are all legitimate questions.
As for Mr. Money, he's on quite a roll right now, and this was a look at his win in the Matt win at Churchill Downs.
Yeah, listen, he has been absolutely terrific. You know, he came together in the Pat Day Mile, then he wins the Matt win. They win in the Indiana Derby, the West Virginia Derby. They took the load of least resistance. I am not going to knock somebody who takes a horse at a short price in big purse races. He's not really a contender for 3-year-old honors because this is the first time he's facing any of the big guns. And unfortunately, the biggest gun that was going to be in there isn't showing up. So could he be 3-year-old champion? I suppose he has a chance here to win this race in the Breeders' Cup Classic. But he really has taken a road of least resistance. I don't knock the connections for doing it. They've made a lot of money doing it, but they haven't faced the big guns in races like the Travers or the Haskell.
Yeah, and as for his trainer, Brett Calhoun, well, he would have loved to be facing the big gun of them all, Maximum Security, but that is not the case.
We've been looking forward to it for a long time. I think Maximum Security was the top 3-year-old in the country. I was looking forward to running against him. I just felt like if we could beat him, that would put us up as a top 3-year-old. It's a good race still. You know, Improbable was highly thought of early on, Derby favorite. Seems to be doing well. So it's obviously a little tougher race for us, but our horse is doing very good. He's gotten very consistent. He's got a lot of confidence right now. I think he's answered a lot of the questions people had about distance and things like that. So he's coming in the race very, very good. He didn't have to have any gut-wrenching, grinding, all-out kind of races. He won pretty handily in all those races, and I think that kept him a little fresher.
Well, here's a look at your top 3-year-old winners. Of course, Country House, ever since that victory being moved up to the win of the Derby, he's been done for the year. War of Will, we're going to see him this weekend. Sir Winston out. Maximum Security now out. Code of Honor, I guess, looks like of that group on there. I know War of Will still in the mix as well, but those two look like they have a great chance to try and do some damage here. And back to Mr. Money for a moment. They have said their options with a big performance here, either go into the Breeders' Cup, sit it out, go to the Clark, or take some time off and now look to some of the big money races that we have early next year. And there's a couple of them.
All reasonable options. I wouldn't knock those at all. And Mr. Money is a darn good horse. So I'd like to see him do well. And I'm interested to see how this matchup goes. I have a question I'm going to ask Greg. If War of Will wins this race and Code of Honor wins the Jockey Club against Olders, who do you think is the leader for the 3-year-old division?
Code of Honor, no question.
Does he beat older horses in the
no
Jockey
question.
Club Gold Cup? I agree with you. I'm just curious.
And I almost, I mean, would you say the Travers holds a little more sway than the Preakness?
I think it's a fair argument. I think it's a fair discussion. No, I think it's a very, very fair point. And I think that this year it might. It was a better race this year. But we'll see what happens. And I think if they both were to win, they would be the 2 leaders at this point.
Yeah.
See?
Yeah, there was no maximum security, obviously, in the Preakness.
But maximum security, there's no maximum security in most races. And I think it's unfortunate.
Yeah.
For whatever reasons it was, it's unfortunate. He hasn't
it's too bad.
contested more of these races.
Really good horse who just about always ran a big race, even when he won for maiden.
He should have come back in the Preakness. That was the biggest mistake they made.
Up next, this non-winners of 3 $25,000 claiming race at 7/8 of a mile. And Irad Ortiz Jr., Desert Lights, 7-5 favoritism. The 5 Mohican for Chris Engelhardt. Right behind it, 8-5 on the board, who ran for 35 non-winners of 3 last start against. That was one of the biggest upsets of the meet at Saratoga when Nick Zito's Frumento won at 31-1.
Yeah, and I should have bet a few dollars. I'm still bitter about that. And I actually think Mohican ran well in there because if you look at the race, that race completely fell apart at the end. It was a very fast second quarter. And of all the horses that were near the pace, Mohican ran far and away the best race. I believe he's very much the horse to beat in this race. I think he should be favored. My one concern, though, is he's just 2 for 26 within 9 seconds and thirds. But it's not as though he has a boatload of failures at short prices. Been a big price in a lot of his races.
There is his pilot. Benji Hernandez will ride this afternoon. Getting some last-minute instructions. What did you think about the race from Thesis, by the way, the 6 last start?
I thought he ran fine. I mean, I thought the rail was a good place to be on August 17th. And he was down the rail and moved to the 2-path. I thought he ran fine in there, and I think he's a player in this race. He draws well towards the outside. I think the thing you like about him is he seems to be improving. And I like the job his trainer, David Duggan, does. I used 3 in here. I used 1, 5, and 6. I pressed the 5 and a little 1, but I used Thesis as well in here. I don't think he's out of it.
There's Thesis. Kendrick Carmouche will get the return call this afternoon. Wound up 3rd in that 9-horse field at Saratoga.
You know, I think you've got a situation where Thesis, Desert Lights, and Dooley, who all finished a length apart in their last race, were coming out of a lower level race. It was a $14,000 non-winners of 3 lifetime. Now they're moving up this $25,000 3 lifetime. And I understand they're 60% of the field, and one of them, Booby Trap, is a big long shot in here. Whereas Mohican is dropping from a $35,000 non-winners of 3 lifetime. So he's dropping down. So I think that Mohican, you know, from a class standpoint, is coming out of much, much better races, and his buyer figures suggest it.
And it's an interesting race because nobody has any speed in this race except Thesis used to. And he's got a speed rider in Kendrick Carmouche. I wonder if he goes to the front. But
That's interesting because you're right. There's no speed. The 1 in 4, it's one of these ones where Timeform US and their pace projector project it, and you'll see, you know, it's not a great performance by Mohican, but he managed to at least hold his position while the other speed horses were collapsing here. But as you were saying, you know, Kendrick Carmouche may very well look at that and say, I know that he hasn't had any speed recently, but maybe I could be aggressive with him because you are right. There is no speed whatsoever in this field.
Opening quarter, what do you think?
Well, every time we think there's no speed, they go faster than we expect, but it's hard to see it under 23 and 2, right?
See who tries to be, if anyone, the aggressor, but it would seem if anyone's going to try and do it, it would be the 6-horse Thesis with Kendrick. Empire 6 starts here, $245,000 jackpot carryover. Today's pool, an additional $62,000 bet into the pot. As we have our post parade coming up. Get signed up, started, play along with Naira Bets. $200 new member bonus when you use that promo code live at sign up. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime with Naira Bets. Go to nairabets.com to get involved. We kick things off with Desert Lights. Irad Ortiz Jr., Gary Gullo.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big rider change. I will not ignore that. And Irad's a strong rider. But Benji's ridden this horse very well. He's one of the major players.
Dooley would be a bit of a shock here in this spot, but getting play, 7-1.
Well, I mean, he did finish right at the wire with Desert Lights and Thesis last time, and to me, that kind of shows that I'm not sure how strong that last race was. Had a good ride last time, by the way, by Air Cancel.
Booby Trap, 9-1. AC Avila?
He's got some back races to give him a shot. Listen, he is dropping significantly. He faced 3-year-olds, but they were an open claiming race last time, and this race is easier.
Mohican, 6-5 favorite.
I think he's supposed to be a substantial favorite in here. I just feel he's been running against better horses and running faster races.
And 9-2 on the outside here is Thesis with Kendrick Carmouche.
He's grabbing my my upset horse in here because I think he can sit a good trip, and maybe we'll see if Kendrick Carmouche is aggressive in a race that lacks pace.
We're going to take a break. We'll be back. We'll have race 3 to kick off the Empire 6 here on this Thursday afternoon in Elmont, New York. Stick around. This one coming up live when we return on Fox Sports 2.
Flatter. This prolific son of A.P. Indy has sired 6 millionaires, including Eclipse champion West Coast. This year, he's adding even more stakes winners to his outstanding record, including Sovereign Award winner Avies Flatter. In the auction ring, his yearlings have topped the Fasig-Tipton July sale 2 years in a row. Success on the track, success in the ring. Flatter, standing at Claiborne Farm.
We're gonna go traveling.
What I like best about Run Happy Desire, he showed so much brilliance to win the grade ones that he won, different racetracks, and he was competing against the best horses that made it look easy. When I first heard about the bonus, I thought it was good for everybody, buyer or seller, gets everybody on the same page, that there's a lot of enthusiasm with the horse already, and I think that just helps add to it. I think these Run Happies, the public already wants to like them. That's a great thing, and I think that's put a little icing on the cake for the whole deal.
Run Happy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
They're on. Bet the horses anywhere, anytime with Naira Bets.
Rushes out of there to take the lead.
It's easy on your computer or Naira Bets app. Earn valuable reward points on bets. Play in our exclusive promotions and earn cash rebates.
Off the turn with a length and a half lead.
Sign up now. Bet $200 and get $200.
The dramatic finish.
Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. NairaBets.com.
Next on America's Day at the races, the third time was the charm for Value Engineering. Now looks to build off his maiden win in his first try against winners, where he is the one to beat. He'll take on Hobo, and he's an old pro. The 5-year-old, already a 4-time winner on turf, drops out of Stakes Company. Trying to pick up number 5 as he tackles Value Engineering, among others, in one of our feature events. Coming up on this Thursday afternoon, our show brought to you in part by America's Best Racing, the go-to site covering the sport and lifestyle. Visit americasbestracing.net today. Lovely weather on this Thursday afternoon as we get set for the start of the Empire 6 coming up. And a big weekend ahead with some graded stakes action, including the Grade 2 Kelso and Pat on the back in action. Greg Wolf alongside New York Racing Association handicapper Andy Serling. And, you know, we talked about this race a little bit earlier on in the show, but Value Engineering, third time out, he breaks his maiden for trainer Chad Brown, but we both seem to think a little bit vulnerable in this spot.
I agree. I think this race is relatively wide open. There are a lot of horses in here, and it's 1.25 miles. So while it's a true route, it's not one of those 1 3/8 and 1.5 mile races. I think distance is somewhat of an equalizer, and we have some horses with experience and reasonable efforts. When you and I have talked about a Hobo, I'm interested in the number 3 horse, Bluegrass Parkway. But Value Engineering did get the job done when he stretched out last time. He was coming off a 3-month layoff. He had been compromised by lack of pace in his prior start. He's arguably ran well in all of his races. I think he is the horse to beat in here. The problem is it's the Chad Brown factor, where in a race where I think there are a number of contenders, it just feels like the horses from him, they end up being way over bet. It just makes you want to look for alternatives.
We will try and value hunt as we get closer to that race coming up. We're going to bring you races 3 through 8 ahead from Belmont Park. We're fast and firm here, and we have the 1st through the 5th at Churchill Downs in Louisville under the Twin Spires. They are fast and firm as well. We'll get into that card in a little bit, but first things first. 3rd race, start of the Empire 6 on this Thursday afternoon, 7 furlongs. Non-winners of 3 lifetime, $25,000 claiming tag Mohican, the 5 current favorite for Chris Englehart.
Yeah, I think it's a situation where if riders didn't come into play, and they do come into play, Mohican would be a substantial favorite. But the riders, the bug rider, Benji Hernandez, and I'm not knocking Benji, rode this horse very well last time, but Benji also used to ride Desert Lights, and now Desert Light has Irad Ortiz, who's, of course, the Eclipse Award-winning jockey last year and one of the top riders in the country. So that's made a real difference because on paper, I think Mohican is much the better of the 2 horses.
Here's Desert Lights. There is Irad Ortiz Jr. Tremendous Saratoga.
Nice. He's legitimately a great rider at this point.
Pretty big weekend in Canada as well, taking the 2 Group 1s for the Breeders' Cup winning your in races, the Natalma and Summer Stakes.
And I think he's been a good rider for a long time, but I really think over the last year and a half, and I don't know, his brother winning the Eclipse Award a couple years ago, I think it kind of
great motivator,
a little bit of a motivator for him because the 2 of them are very competitive. They're very close, but understandably very competitive. And I think he stepped his game up. It feels like he's become much more of a thinking man's rider than he used to be, and that's really improved his game.
Good point. I mean, you bring that up, and he talked to his agent and said, "What do I need to do to get there and to be standing on that stage?" And he made it happen.
Yeah, he did. I mean, his agent, Steve Rushing, does a fabulous job. Jimmy Riccio, who's of course the agent for his brother Jose, does a great job. I mean, those 2, they are 2 of the best agents in the game.
And we saw Dooley move in. We need to give some credit, too, and I know you did briefly there a moment ago. Eric Consell, he doesn't get a lot of love on this circuit. Of late, he's been riding very well.
No, he had a good Saratoga. Considering the mounts he gets, now competitive is up there. It's tough for him. He's on the lower edge of the scale here, and he's just not going to get the mounts. And at times, Eric's been riding better. I think sometimes he just needs to be more in the game. Now he's riding Dooley, who has no speed, so I don't think he's going to be close up in a race that we think the first quarter will be 23-2 or higher.
Here's Larry Colmus with the call, the Empire 6.
They're off. Thesis on the outside, sent out of there with Mohican. These 2 out to the front, and Desert Lights came out running in 3rd, then Booby Trap and Dooley up the backstretch. And Kendra Carmouche gets Thesis to the early lead, and Mohican is a neck back to his inside, and they kick away 2 lengths from Desert Lights, who drops back now 3 from the front. And then on the outside, moving up is Booby Trap. And the trailer Dooley is 3.5 lengths off of the front runner, who went 23.21 for the opening quarter mile. So into the turn they go. Thesis shakes away now, leads by a length over Mohican, 1.5 to Booby Trap on the outside. Desert Lights rides the rail in 4th, and Dooley is now under a ride to keep up at the rear of the field. Around the far turn they go, in pursuit of Thesis. And on the outside, Mohican tries to stick with him after a 46.42 half mile. 2.5 to Desert Lights. And then comes Booby Trap on the outside. Dooley is the trailer as they come to the top of the stretch. Thesis off the turn in front, 1.5 lengths. On the outside, Mohican now running after Thesis, coming to the 8th pole. These 2 stride for stride, and Mohican takes over the lead. Thesis battles on from the inside. It's 3 lengths back to Desert Lights, and in the center it's Booby Trap. It's Thesis and Mohican. Mohican and Thesis. Nose to nose coming down to the wire. Mohican looked like he got there over Thesis. And then it was Desert Lights and Booby Trap.
Well, Thesis had every right to throw in the towel at this point after setting the fractions up front. He fought every step of the way to the wire, nearly battled back, but it looks like Mohican gets the win.
And a great call by you earlier when we were talking about the lack of pace, and you brought up that Kendra Carmouche on Thesis, an aggressive rider, might send a horse that hadn't been showing any speed to lead, and he did. And I thought Benji Hernandez rode very, very well on the favorite in here because he stayed inside of Kendrick enough that he didn't let Kendrick just waltz to the front end and open up a couple lengths in slow pace. He made him work. Then he took back a little off him and got outside of him. So I thought we saw some terrific rides by both of them. Now, Irad Ortiz, in the big rider switch, it turned out the switch didn't really matter. The reality was that Mohican was the better horse. And the only reason I think that Thesis ran as well as he did was because of the aggressive and very adept ride by Kendrick Carmouche and taking advantage of the lack of pace that you had talked about much earlier.
Yeah, 9-2 on Thesis, digs in, hangs around, and made this a dogfight to the wire, but in the end, Mohican a little bit too good. 6-5 here in the end for the Chris Engelhardt barn. Wins for the third time in just 27 career starts. Gets his first win of the year as well, and that's how close it was.
Yeah, it really felt like Thesis, you know, usually when the inside horse battles back like that, they end up getting the win. But in this case, Mohican was able to get the job done. I thought it was a really nice rides by both horses in here. And the riders did their best in helping their mounts. And an excellent ride and a very, very attuned ride by Kendrick Carmouche, taking advantage of the lack of pace.
And if you're just tuning in, that's our first favorite of the day, by the way.
Yeah.
That wins. We had a 3-1 shot win race 2. We had a 17-1 shot kick off a grade 1 jump race, the Lonesome Glory, to kick off our card. Another look here down the stretch. This was a pretty fun stretch duel between these two non-winners of 3 lifetimers that are throwing down to the finish.
Sometimes you watch a race and it can be a very exciting race, even the lower level races, and these two horses gave it their all.
5-6, 1-4 finish. Benji Hernandez collects his first winner of this Belmont meeting. Well done on the 5-year-old son of Pioneer of the Nile, as we are underway in our Empire 6. We'll be back with the prices right after this. Set the stage for race 4 in the beginning of the late pick 5 when we come back on Fox Sports 2.
Go from Railbird to Winner's Circle. With My Racehorse, you have access to top horses and trainers, backside tours, exclusive ownership experiences, and fast payouts to your online account. With shares starting as little as $100, the Winner's Circle is waiting for you. Go to myracehorse.com or download the My Racehorse app today to join the thousands who have already started their journey as a racehorse owner.
Piranha, the leader in fly control and wipe and spray products, now has premium equine grooming products. Introducing Aloe Pro Shampoo, an organic concentrate enriched with vitamins A, D, and E, and silk protein. Piranha Detangler, a dry comb-through detangling spray that conditions, moisturizes, keeping tail and mane manageable. And Shine Baby Shine, a water-based coat conditioner that leaves a show ring shine every time. Visit piranhaeat.com to see our full line of equine products, and for a limited time, use promo code NIRA to receive a 10% discount on your order. Piranha on, pests gone.
It's America's original sport, and no one covers it better than americasbestracing.net. From the sport to the lifestyle, the best races, horses, and destination venues, cocktails, gambling, fashion, and more. americasbestracing.net is a sport for you. Live it, love it, bet it.
Grade 1 winner.
Back on America's Day at the Races, it's brought to you in part by Claiborne Farm. 100 years of doing the usual unusually well. Third race, ooh, that was close. Mohican edging out Thesis, who would jump to the front early on under Kendrick Carmouche. Thesis hung in, battled back, but in the end, it's Mohican who picks up the 3rd win of his career.
Yep, and a nice ride by Benji Hernandez. He stuck with this one, and he made the right choice, and at the end of the day, just a little bit better than those he ran against. But Thesis, a nice performance by him, whose trainer, David Dugan, does a really good job with the horses he has.
Late pick 5, it begins here. 1 1/4, it's on the inner turf. Maiden special weight. Lady Rosalie. Rudolph Brissett, 3-5 early on in the wagering here. As the distance here is the big question. We have a couple of runners, both by Animal Kingdom here in this race, and one of them trained by Graham Motion, and that was the morning line favorite, Steva, who was making career start number 2, debuted actually at Colonial Downs. From Graham and Anita Motion, they can have enjoyed tremendous success, I should say, over the course of their careers. A Kentucky Derby win, victory in the Dubai World Cup, multiple Breeders' Cup victories as well. But as important as any win for the Motions is making sure that the horses who run for them are taken care of.
We just think it's our duty to take care of the horses. I mean, they live for 30 years or more, so, you know, we have a responsibility to take care of them and make sure that they're adequately cared for.
I think a lot of people don't realize how long horses can live. You know, we just feel like the horses have given us so much and that we owe it to them to take care of them the best we can.
I mean, it is very unique what Graham and Anita do. They want to win and they want the best from their horses, but they care about the whole horse. And as we know, racing is a sport mainly for younger, what I call younger horses, and so, you know, there's a lot of life left in these horses after that.
We had a horse, a lovely horse called Ichabod Crane, who actually ran third in the Preakness. He must have run till he was 6 or 7?
8, I think.
8, and he became very popular on the New York bred circuit. So he had a bit of a following, if you like.
We prepped him for the first America's Most Wanted, which was at Pimlico. And the time before that, at Pimlico, he was in the Preakness in 2008. Anyway, he won the first inaugural America's Most Wanted competition at Pimlico Racecourse.
Ridden by Philip.
Ridden by Philip.
What really won us over was his attitude. Really loves to be trained and taught and enjoys life and has become a part of our family now.
And then actually he was chosen last year to be a Breyer horse. So he has his own Breyer model.
Yeah, so the most recent horse we sent to Philip, well, one of the most recent was Ring Weekend, who was a Grade 1 winner for me, and West Point were nice enough to back him to go on to Phillips.
And they're backing him financially too.
So this is Ring Weekend, who was, you know, he's by Tappet and was a very successful racehorse. Well, the thoroughbred's very suited to eventing. Obviously, a big part of our sport is the cross country, where you gallop at speed over, you know, natural obstacles, and so the thoroughbred takes to that very well. And the great thing about our sport is there's so many levels of it. There's nearly a place for every kind of horse in our sport.
Sue has worked for us for a long time, and her biggest thing is, you know, placing the horses. I mean, she absolutely loves the horses.
Well, I do like to place the horses. We get people calling up asking for if we have any retirees.
We put on every set of fold papers a sticker with a very bright color, green or orange, and it has our stable name.
The sticker we put in says this horse was not bred for slaughter. This is the number to call if you need to find it a home.
Like we mentioned already, you know, thoroughbreds can live up to 30 years old, so there's a lot of time after they frequently run till they're 4 or 5. There's a lot of time to fill in there and find other careers for them.
But the reason we're doing what we're doing is because we absolutely love the horses. I mean, they you know, burn into your soul. They look at you and you just, you know, you can vision their faces and you just know, you know, you're obligated to take care of them as much as you can for as long as you can.
Well, it really shows through how much they care about the horses that take care of them. Graham and Anita Motion, and of course, this was one of their shining moments. Animal Kingdom, Kentucky Derby winner, winning the 2013 Dubai World Cup.
No, I agree, and you're absolutely right. They are people that care a great deal about their horses, as does, I mean, people in racing care about their horses, and I hope people don't have the impression there are people racing that don't, because they do. They give their lives to the horses, but the Motions are shining examples of so much that's good in the sport. Both Graham and Anita and Animal Kingdom, a good example of what kind of good trainer Graham is.
We got 2 offspring of Animal Kingdom in this race. Of course, the 2 What Does a Shark Say? And then the horse trained by Graham. Steva, 3-year-old filly whose debut race came at Colonial, and she would wind up facing a horse who would come back to win a stakes race at Presque Isle next out, Ledeck.
Yeah, and here's my feeling with Steva, right or wrong, who's not going to be favored. First of all, she breaks slowly in her debut, and a lot of first-time stars will break slowly, and they're quite often more professional in their second race. Not always, but quite often they are. But also, she's a very big horse, and you see her in the back of the pack. And the Furlough Lynch gave her a very good ride after the break. But when I look at a big horse like her, a lot of those horses, and you'll see it in the stretch, sort of trying to run inside of horses, they're much, much happier when they're able to get to the outside. And this is still going to the first turn. If we can pick them up in the stretch,
last right
there. Yeah, it's okay. It doesn't really, it's not a big deal, but she's sort of trying to rally inside of She ends up rallying inside of horses. It's not that important, guys. That's not her. So, it's not her. She's actually in the green hat and the white silks towards the back. That's not her. We can. The point is that she's inside of horses, and a lot of bigger horses are much better, especially a bigger horse, than get outside in the clear. In a small field on this big, wide Belmont turf course, she should get a better chance to get that cleaner trip today.
Graham Motion, Augustin Stable. Teaming up, you usually think Jonathan Shepard when you say Augustin Stable.
They kind of stopped giving him horses 2 or 3 years ago, and it's one of the reasons that Jonathan Shepard hasn't been as proficient as he was in prior years.
Well, Graham teaming up here, daughter of Animal Kingdom, who brought him a Derby and Dubai World Cup win. Trying to break her maiden coming up. It's the start of the late pick 5 here in the 4th, mile and a quarter over the inner turf. We'll have much more on this 4th coming up and the rest of the late pick 5 when we come back.
Grade 1 winner and track record setter Lee. He traveled the world competing against the best of his generation. Now his progeny are hitting the track. His first winners include Saratoga standout Vast, with juveniles selling for over $400,000 and yearlings bringing up to $650,000. The sky is the limit for this promising young stallion. Lee, standing at Claiborne Farm.
You know, I think Run Happy has a lot of things going for him. Obviously, he's been very respected, and to, you know, to give people further incentive to buy them for where they can take an offspring, run it, and if they win, they're going to get a $100,000 bonus for each Run Happy they have. You know, it's another selling point from our perspective that really helps us promote the horses that we're representing and we're selling.
Run Happy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Tom Durkin letting you know New York breds start with an advantage. At the sales, buyers pay up to 7 figures, and there's over $2 million in stakes money limited to New York sired horses in the New York Stallion Stakes Series, like the Park Avenue for 3-year-old fillies.
Newly minted wins it for fun.
For fun and money. The winner's share generates an additional $55,000 from the New York Breeding Fund.
Funny Guys gonna do it.
Funny Guys winning the Times Square division generates the same money. So get with the program at nybreds.com.
Back on America's Day at the Races, brought to you in part by America's Best Racing. For the love of the race, visit americasbestracing.net. We have the late pick 5 coming up. We're 13 minutes away. Greg Wolf, Andy Serling, Maggie Wolfendale with you. And 6-horse field in this first leg of the sequence where we don't know who's going to get the mile and a quarter. That's the big question mark here.
It really is, and I think it's a big question, Greg, that you bring up, especially relates to the 4 to 5 favorite here. And she's going to be favored. She's actually going to be around even money looking at the doubles at post time in all likelihood, Lady Rosalie. Because wouldn't you argue that aside from her debut, which was a poor performance, the worst of her next 4 races was the mile and 3/16 race at Keeneland? Now, that was a yielding turf course. So that may have been the reason, not the distance. But she does have a pedigree, though, to suggest that she should relish the distance.
You talked about Steva being a big 3-year-old filly. This is a real slight little gal here by Dubawi, Lady Rosalie, who's the 4 to 5 favorite. As we take a look at the 2 in here, what does the Shark say? This is the other Animal Kingdom filly.
You know, she really didn't do that much running last time, and it's one of those lines that's flattered by the field. I know we saw Bo Bell come back with a win. I think Pat Sylvester ran a good second, I want to say. I'm not quite certain she came back, but I think she did. And that was a race that kind of fell apart in the late stages. I think it flattered what does the Shark say. But I think she's good enough to win here, and I'm not sure why she's so much less likely in the odds. I mean, she's the same price as Andy's Kittens right now, and I don't understand that at all, to be honest.
12 minutes away. Let's get a paddock report. Head downstairs to Maggie Wolfendale.
Well, as you guys just so eloquently pointed out, we have a big size difference between the 2 favorites in here. As we'll begin, though, with the second-time starter from that rail position, and that's number 1, Steva, for trainer Graham Motion, as she comes by way of Colonial Downs. And as Andy had pointed out earlier, lugging in the stretch because she was kind of surrounded by horses, plus she was just a bit green, and I'm sure Fergal Lynch, because she is so big, not the easiest to control too. So she would, you would think, feel a bit more comfortable if she could extricate herself from the inside, and she's going to have to do so. Luckily, it's not that big of a field, but she does have the rail position. I do think, though, as I kind of alluded to, that 1.25 miles, that extra furlong here should be an ideal kind of distance for her, as I should say extra 2 furlongs, sorry. She's just so big, and she just it takes a while to unravel that stride, and she's big and imposing looking. You can kind of see why they waited till the tail end of her 3-year-old campaign to get her going. She just probably needed that time, but does come in here extremely fit. As we'll jump to the other end of the spectrum with number 6, Lady Rosalie. She is small, and you can see that on the replays, and it doesn't help that her groom is also 6 foot plus, which makes her look even smaller. But anyway, she is nicely put together, though. And these Dubawis, they tend to carry their flesh really well. They're just healthy individuals. With her, she is sharp. She was kind of wound up when they saddled her too. So you would have to think, with that in mind, as she gets more ground to cover from those 2 mile and 16th races here this summer, that she's going to be forwardly placed. At least she's giving every indication that here in the paddock that she will be as well. I just don't know. Maybe it's an advantage to be out on the front end and kind of dictating things, but size-wise, she doesn't look like your typical 1.25 mile horse, but there is certainly pedigree to possibly pull her through. As number 5, Andy's Kitten, she will come off the bench here for Danny Gargan. She debuted last year as a 2-year-old for Chad Brown, though, in which she just kind of ran evenly. She just ran in place for the most part there at Aqueduct. She does look better to me now as a 3-year-old. She's filled out a little bit. Her coat's better than what it was, at least going back to the end of November, which you can imagine here as we're the tail end of summer. But she has done some growing, which I appreciate. And physically, she's gotten a bit longer, so 1.25 miles might be an ideal distance. I just don't know how she stacks up with the rest of her competition here. You would have liked to see a bit more running from her with that debut as she'll go out for these new connections. I like her here at face value. There's just some intangibles that I can't really sink my teeth into, Greg.
Maggie, thanks. That was a quick look at Rajiv Mirage. She'll be on board the 4, big long shot near Palace. Well, not a huge long shot, 6-1. No one should be even money in this race.
No, I agree. I'm surprised that the 6 is a heavy favorite in here. And I know the morning line maker agree with us. I think he thought that Steva would be favored. Maggie talks about intangibles with Andy's Kitten. Tell you, first of all, we were talking about the set. This horse was originally trained by Chad Brown, and this was his name for his daughter. There was an Ava's Kitten, who actually a pretty good horse that Chad had, and his daughter Ava's his first daughter. Second daughter Andy, and no, Greg, she was not named after me, though. I
asked that question.
I asked Chad the same question when she was born. I was very touched, but it was not named after me, shockingly. So you've got a horse named after Chad's daughter that was transferred away from Chad Brown that didn't run well on her debut. But the other problem with this horse is she has been entered and scratched twice out of maiden claiming races. Now, I don't know why you entered a maiden claiming race to begin with, because she has a pedigree that probably makes her worth more than the 40,000 she was entered as a broodmare. She's a half to voting control, and so she's got pedigree. Voting control was third in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, full to voting control. Why would you give this horse away? Yet they were talking about that they scratched out of those races. So I'm not really sure. And as Maggie's saying, intangibles, I think there are a lot of negative intangibles. I also believe that she'll be the speed in here. She's got the speed to be in front of the number 6 in a race where, once again, there's no pace on paper. Yeah. And don't you think of Danny Gargan as a trainer who likes to take advantage of speed? One of the reasons he's successful.
But still, it sounds like you are overall
negative.
Yeah, negative on the 5.
Yeah.
You can get signed up, play along, just in time for the start of this late pick 5 with Naira Bets. Bet $200, you'll get a $200 new member bonus when you use the promo code LIVE at sign up. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime with Naira Bets. Go to nairabets.com or download the Naira Bets app. Our late pick 5 yesterday, I want to say it paid just over $8,000.
You had one of the tough horses in that sequence.
I had 2 of the tough horses, and I
Yeah,
still
that's
got
right.
nothing.
Yeah. It's not easy.
It can be difficult,
It's not easy.
but it can be rewarding too.
Yep.
88,000 plus coming up in the late pick 5 pool in growing as we get set for our post break. So the morning line favorite was this daughter of Animal Kingdom, Steva, for Grand Motion. She debuted at Colonial at 1 mile and an eighth. Here she is.
The break will be important with her. The small field should help her get better position too, even though she drew the rail. And I think she's the horse to beat, even though she's not likely to be favored.
6-1 on the other daughter of Animal Kingdom for Jimmy Toner. What does a shark say?
She hasn't done a lot of running. Her last race, I think, is a little bit dressed up. On the other hand, this field, I think she has to be considered a player.
Kendrick Carmouche rides. Big price, biggest on the board with this one right here. No point given over 20.
She actually could be the speed in this race, coming out of some shorter races. It's a tough horse to make going long on the turf. She should be more than 32-1.
Palace Athene, John Terranova. Blinkers will go on, the daughter of Declaration of War.
I don't get her at all, but I will say that in her one turf race going long back in July, it was a paceless race, and that affected her chances. And with blinkers on off the layoff in a small field, she should not be compromised in the same way.
She was within 8 lengths of Varenka in her debut. At least you can give her that.
So are 7 others.
Andy's Kitten used to be with Chad Brown, has made 1 start, now with Danny Gargan.
It was kind of a wild card horse that didn't show much in her debut, and I expect her to be forwardly placed.
And 6-5 favorite for Rudolph Brissett, Lady Rosalie, the diminutive daughter of Dubawi.
Yeah, I mean, she's got to be effective going longer. Her one race going 1 mile and 3/16, a close distance, was a yielding turf, so maybe that's why she didn't run well, but we'll find out. Odd heavy favorite.
Yeah, 6-5 on the outside. Philly with more on this race. Let's go to Maggie.
And more on the 6-5 favorite as of now here with her trainer, Rudolph Brissett, as he will send out Lady Rosalie. And Rudy, getting back out to a longer distance, because the only time she tried a kind of marathon, if you will, 1 mile and 3/16, was over yielding ground. Talk about the decision to put her in this type of spot going this distance.
Well, I think our last race, he was 1 mile and 16, and Florent got back to us, and he said in the backside he got to keep her kind of busy, So and then she finished up pretty nice, got up out strong. Like you said, Kinland was she was still learning out the race. She got pinched on the inside. She got letter rank. It was just, I think, a race you can put a line through it. It's a 6-horse field today. It's 1 mile and a quarter. Hopefully, everybody is going to keep his position, and they should have a fluid race.
Now, it sounds to me like you're not looking to have her on the front end, because she was awfully sharp and she is stretching out a bit. Would you like to see her rating behind horses?
Oh, no, play the break. I mean, if she came out clean enough, and if he feels comfortable where she's comfortable, I think he's gonna play the break and go from there. You can't overthink those races. 6-horse field, if you start to overthink about it, you gotta put yourself in trouble. So, we are on the outside, and if she break, the best will win.
Now, 1 mile and a quarter seems like a hop, skip, and a jump compared to your travel plans that you were just telling me. I got really tired just listening to them. As you have a couple of nice horses making some starts in some nice races, you're going from here to Charlestown this weekend to run La Chancla.
Yeah, we feel like she deserves a shot in the black type race. I think I did mention that to you after she won in Saratoga. It could be next black type. She drew the one. I don't think it's a bad thing in Charleston, with those tight turns. And we see what happens. Hopefully, she's the type we think she is.
You were also telling me you're dividing your time from a string here, as well as your home base at Churchill, and you're having to go back and get on Quip, who looks to also be making a start in Greatest Stakes in a couple weeks from now.
Yeah, Quip is at Kinland actually, but he's been working well since we can say since a disappointing effort in a Pacific Classic. But we kind of regroup, and we got to take him for the Lucas Classic. It's a track we know he likes Churchill, and it's a Malana 8, and we see how he does there, and we will make plan from there.
Well, Rudy, wishing you the best of luck here, but also safe travels, and you're crisscrossing the country.
Thank you, appreciate it.
All right, Rudy Brissett, sending out your still current 6-5 favorite in here, Lady Rosalie, Greg.
Maggie, thanks. Yeah, I thought Quip was going to have a really big year. He's one of the favorites going into the Pacific Classic.
Yeah, he was, and he just didn't run that well. And he'd run some better races, so, perhaps they take another shot. Just maybe he didn't ship to Del Mar well. He's a nice horse. I mean, he's a cut below the best horses, but he's a good horse.
3-2 favoritism on Rudolph Brissett's filly. Lady Rosalie, 5 starts, has yet to hit the board, but the last 2 tries, she was getting to the winner with every step. We'll see if she appreciates the extra ground. Here's Andy's Kitten, and yet what do you do with this runner who made just 1 start as a 2-year-old? 8th, beat 3 lengths when she was with Chad Brown, and now debuts for Danny Gargan.
Yeah, she's getting bet in here. I don't get it. She's a total wild card. And listen, I understand people betting Danny Gargan's horses. Danny's certainly winning at a high percentage, and he had a big Saratoga. So I guess anything's possible, and she could be the speed in this race, but I don't know. Why was she entered twice for 40,000? I mean, did they just throw her in the entries? If they were ready to lose her for 40,000 with that kind of pedigree as a filly, then I don't want her in this race. Now, I don't know all the circumstances, but I think that's a real negative, Greg.
Meanwhile, Palace Athene, John Terranova, and it's just tough to get too excited about this daughter of Declaration of War off what she's done in her 2 turf starts.
I agree with you. I don't think she's done any running whatsoever. I know my friend David Aragona likes her, and I respect David's opinion. I think the one thing you could say is that in a smaller field like this, she may not get as lost as she's gotten in her other 2 turf races, but she's yet to do a stitch of running in either one of her races. I couldn't find an excuse other than the fact that she was compromised by slow paces, and that's fair.
8-1 right now on Palace Athene, with more on the 4 filly. Let's go back to Maggie.
And she will be adding blinkers too for this 3rd start on the turf, and I've always thought that the longer the better on this surface, the better for Palace Athene. Now, it's not that big of a cup on her, just a very, very short cheater cup. I don't like the fact that she missed the time, but then again, she could just be more of a Belmont horse. I mean, that's pretty evident. She's really big, really rangy, and she has done well in the interim between the 2 races. This is going to be the time where she really needs to move forward for me to continue to endorse her, but I would be willing to give her another shot here. She's 7-1, Greg, as they're loading up.
Maggie, thank you.
Listen, I guess Andy's Kitten will win because I used 1, 2, 4, 6 in here in my pick 4, but that's what I think of the race. I see it as wide open. I won't be shocked if the 4 wins. It'll help me in the pick 4.
Well, and Steve, the morning line favorite has become now the 8-5 choice by a slim margin over the outside Lady Rosalie. So we'll see if start number 2 for the Graham Motion filly, daughter of Animal Kingdom, can break her maiden here. Going 1.25 miles. It's the start of the late pick 5. We send it upstairs to the voice of the Triple Crown for the call. Here's Larry Colmus.
And here is Palace Athene moving into the starting gate. We'll take stall 4 under Rajiv Mirage. Andy's Kitten about to move into line. And Lady Rosalie, who's now down to the 8-5 favorite choice with Stiva, will take the outside stall. And they're all in line. They're off. And it's Andy's Kitten and Lady Rosalie out for the lead together. And then it's What Does the Shark Say? No point given. And racing to their outside is Stiva, who's been taken off the rail and now moving outside the front runners as they make their way to that first turn. Palace Athene is the trailer. So they race into the turn. And on the inside, it is Andy's Kitten with a slight lead. Farther out is Stiva and the petite Lady Rosalie between those 2. And they're being followed by What Does the Shark Say? 4th on the inside as they make their way toward the backstretch. Then it's Palace Athene and No Point Given. The opening quarter mile was 25.38 seconds. On to the backstretch they go, with Andy's Kitten, Lady Rosalie, and Stiva 1, 2, 3, just ahead of What Does the Shark Say? And Palace Athene on the outside. The trailer, No Point Given, is now 6.5 lengths off the lead as they continue up the backstretch. It is Andy's Kitten on the inside, Stiva on the outside, and they surround Lady Rosalie, who's between those 2. Then it's What Does the Shark Say? Palace Athene is 3 lengths behind, and No Point Given. 50.74 was that half mile. Andy's Kitten is the leader by a half a length. Lady Rosalie continues to race in second with Stiva outside of them in third. And then it's What Does the Shark Say? And Palace Athene 5th on the outside. The trailer long shot, No Point Given. Around the far turn, Andy's Kitten, Lady Rosalie moving up alongside. Steva's outside of them. These three lined up on the turn. And right behind them, what does the Sharks say? And Palace Athene still in contention. 3/4 in 114.83. And they're into the stretch. And Lady Rosalie on the outside to the front. Lady Rosalie, the little filly, takes the lead here at the 8th pole. On the inside, Andy's Kitten is second. And farther out, what does the Shark say? Puts in her bid now, and it's a good one. What does the Shark say on the outside of Lady Rosalie? Takes over the lead. And what does the Shark say? And Kendra Carmouche pull away in the end. To beat Lady Rosalie, it was very tight for third between Andy's Kitten and Steva.
What does a Shark say? The other daughter of Animal Kingdom, and a nice patient ride from Kendra Carmouche.
Yeah, this was an excellent ride by Kendrick. That's 2 in a row for him. One with a victory, but one, a near victory. And I agree. Excellent ride. Got the distance, flourished the distance. I think the distance got a little bit to the number 6, Lady Rosalie, in the late stages. I'm not blaming Jose Ortiz to ride on Steva. I think he did the right thing by her. I know being 3 wide like that is not where he would prefer to be, but she's a big filly and tough to handle in there, and he didn't want to get jammed up in the early stages. I can't knock him. I think Steva strikes me as the kind of horse that's going to make a lot of riders look bad. And I don't blame Jose for that ride. She may just be a tough one to handle. And you know what? She also might just not have been good enough.
Doesn't really have an electric turn of foot.
No, that would be the understatement of the year.
What does the Shark say? In the end, wins by about 2 lengths. And yeah, you're right. Even in defeat, Kendrick with a very heads-up ride earlier in the card, back in race number 3, jumping to the front on a long shot in their Thesis, and great stretch toward the wire. Came up on the short end of that one, but it was still good tactics in here. Very patient, saves ground, and when he asked for more, he got it. From What Does the Shark Say? Went 7-2, beating an 8-5 favorite.
Yeah, in fact, the third choice in here. And this really was a terrific ride by Kendra. You could see in the top of the stretch, or early in the stretch, that she was going to be tough if she got that room. And Kendrick didn't panic. He got through and got the job done. Nice effort by her.
Jimmy Toner, Kendrick, and Burning Daylight Farms team up, and it's Animal Kingdom Exacta in the 4th. Oh no, I'm sorry. Lady Rosalie was favored. 2-6-5-1. Steva was the other Animal Kingdom, 1st and 4th. There's Jimmy Toner. Picture time and graduation for What Does the Shark Say? Prices when we come back.
Run Happy is simply super. He polishes off an outstanding campaign with a dominant victory in the Malibu.
No medication, no problem. Run Happy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
They're off. Bet the horses anywhere, anytime with Naira Bets.
Rushes out of there to take the lead.
It's easy on your computer or Naira Bets app. Earn valuable reward points on bets. Play in our exclusive promotions and earn cash rebates.
Off the turn with a length and a half lead.
Sign up now. Bet $200 and get $200. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. NairaBets.com.
Mastery retired undefeated, winning his 4 starts by a combined 20 lengths. A 6-figure September sale purchase, he won impressively in his 2-year-old debut at Santa Anita. From there, he captured the Grade 3 Bob Hope Stakes and completed his juvenile campaign with a dominant performance in the Grade 1 Los Alamitos Futurity. At 3, the top-rated son of Candy Ride sizzled in the San Felipe. Now his much-anticipated first crop has arrived. Mastery, standing at Claiborne Farm.
We are back, and we have an inquiry and objection in this race, not involving your winner or your 2nd place finisher. It is your 3rd place finisher who's involved. Horse who did not finish on the board. The 4-horse, Palace Athene, lodging it against the 5, your 3rd place finisher.
Yes, and correctly, the stewards have already dismissed it.
Yes, there was nothing to it.
We actually, in fact, have checked and researched very heavily. It was probably the most ridiculous foul claim we've ever seen.
Wow, don't get that at all. So quickly, it has been dismissed. 2-6-5-1. Let's go to Maggie Wolfendale.
Here with winning trainer Jimmy Toner, as he is on fire here at Belmont Park. 3 for 3 for the meet, Jimmy. But what does the Shark say? Do you know?
No, I don't.
Neither do I. That's okay, though. But she's a winner no matter what.
Exactly, yeah.
But Kendrick gave her a brilliant ride, just saving all the ground. And when he asked upon her, she responded.
Yeah, well, he really did give her a good ride today. It's good. She's kind of a big, long, leggy filly, and she has to have room to extend herself. And even today, where he was saving ground, I go, you got to get out, you got to get out. Which I told him, I said, make sure you try to get out when you get a shot. But she was blocked in all the way. But when he did get her out, she was able to respond really well.
You also had a really nice winner here, and I'm sorry, brain is not working. For some reason, his name is completely escaping me now, but a very good...
Fortune's Fool.
That's it. Yes. I know it was Fortune something. But a really dominant performance last time out in that allowance race. Do you think about just climbing the ladder, or do you look at a stake for him, given that he's a 3-year-old?
I'll look at something for him, because he's a 3-year-old and you got some limited options coming up, so you might be able to find a 3-year-old spot before the year's up, so we'd like to try that.
Well, Jimmy, is there anything that you can kind of attribute to this success back here at Belmont? Your barn's just doing very, very well.
No, not really. If I did, I'd write it down and remember and try it again. It just happens to shake out that way sometimes.
That it does, but you've always been a fixture here in New York with a lot of success, especially with these turf fillies. So congratulations with What Does the Shark Say?
Thanks, Maggie. Appreciate it.
It's quite a funny name, isn't it, Greg? Do you know what a shark says?
I've been face to face with a shark in open waters. And, yeah, he didn't say anything to me, but I said a few things. It was not a fun experience for me. 3 for 3 for Jimmy Toner to start off this meet at Belmont.
Like to see it. Keep it going, Jimmy.
That was the scariest moment of my life, by the way.
How did that happen?
$9.90 for the win. It was scuba diving or snorkeling in the Great Barrier Reef. I did not think I would live to see the next few minutes.
Wow. What happened? Went away? Said I'm a big fan of the show.
We became friends. Now, it turned out to be a reef shark, and I was fine.
Cool. Glad to hear.
How about that start, though? Yeah, Jimmy Toner batting 1,000 right now. So we move on to race 5. 6 furlongs on the turf coming up. Maiden special weights, and both halves of the entry have a legitimate claim to say they can win this race.
Oh, I agree. I mean, you know, the one horse had trouble in a race that I don't particularly like. Whereas the 1A, Boston Beauties, she just ran well in a very strong race. I know Indochine came back with a very mediocre win at a mile, but I thought Boston Beauties ran very well. But Logical Reason did have some trouble in there, and I think the 2B Arms is very interesting here as well.
Churchill Downs, their opening race is coming up shortly. 6 furlongs.
You know, big scratch in the 6 Pat Daddy. It leaves Midnight Las Vegas loose in here, and that could really help the number 4 Midnight Las Vegas is a big price here. 7. We know this horse Roar the Nile, right? We saw the horse win at Saratoga at a huge price. Horse won at 12-1 at Saratoga on a Saturday. Great claim for 8,000.
The opening weekend of the meet. Yeah. Mike Lauer, John Court.
That was a great winner's circle where the guys said that they tried to run another race and the race didn't go, and all the guys there were so happy. That was one of the best winning interviews of the meet. Yeah, it was cool.
Bevo Racing.
There you go.
Coming up Friday, we kick off our stakes action for a big weekend here at Belmont Park. It's the Bertram F. Bongard and City Man for Christophe Clement. Will be the horse to beat in the race. Son of Mucho Macho Man. He is 2 for 2. Stepped up into stakes company in the funny side at Saratoga. Was favored in that race, and he beat Cleon Jones, who he's going to tackle again.
A lot of Met fans not going to be happy he put a beating on Cleon Jones. He was good. I thought he improved. He was more professional in his maiden win. Thought he ran very, very well in this race. And City Man is A-OK for Christophe Clement, but he's got a serious challenger from the Jeremiah Englehart barn in here.
Yes, he does. In fact, 2 of them. The rematch with Cleon Jones and Munaki as well. But as for City Man, here's Christophe Clement and how he's been training.
His first work was a bit slow by design. His second work here was a bit faster. Started slow, but he finished very well with Joel Rosario. I'm pretty happy about everything, really. He's always trained well. He's a very flashy type of horse. He's a good-looking horse. He's a good mover. Trained well. He was impressive when he won his first race coming from off the pace. I was a little bit surprised that he was so close to the pace second time out, but he was very comfortable. And, you know, I let Rosario is a jockey and he decides about what to do in a race. Just keep him comfortable. If he's comfortable close to the pace, it's fine. If he wants to be further off the pace, you know, Rosario will have to make the decision.
So trying to go 3 for 3 to start his career for Reeves Thoroughbreds, City Man. Going to have to deal, though, with, as you mentioned, Jeremiah Englehart's barn and Munaki. He was pretty sensational first time out at Saratoga.
Yeah, Jeremiah has incredible numbers off of maiden wins, particularly with 2-year-olds. Coming back, maiden winners in their debut, so he has shown over time that they come back and run just as well. And I'm going to tell you something, if he runs just as well in here, City Man could be in trouble. This was a very impressive win.
For Bill Parcells, August Dawn Farm. Yeah, this was a lights-out performance. Geared down late. How quiet Jose Ortiz is there. Didn't have to do much, just stay aboard. Wow, and yeah, if this horse, wow, Jeremiah Englehart, he did so much damage with 2-year-old fillies, but 2-year-olds in general at Saratoga, just a tremendous meet.
No, I agree. It's a sensational meet, and now we want to see how are they going to do going forward, but he certainly is loaded at this point.
Logic and Reason, Christophe Clement holds a strong hand in our first leg of this late pick four this afternoon as well. This is half of the entry, the other half trained by Todd Pletcher. Logic and Reason debuted at Saratoga, 5.5 furlongs on turf. Today will be 6, and was making up a lot of ground late in which he had some traffic trouble.
He did. Now, this was a race that was completely collapsing. Actually, the 1-2 finishers will be second to last and last on the outside. Now, he's a bit inside of them. The problem is going to be the number, you see him highlighted there, the number 10 who's outside him right now in the yellow silks. He's going to come in sharply and interfere with about 5 horses inside of him. The one immediately inside of him is Logic and Reason. And you could argue that he was kind of closing with the top 2 at the time when that happened. Now, the others may have had more momentum. I don't like the race they're coming out of. And even if you like them, you're saddled with, you could say, well, the 1A is very good, Boston Muse, and that helps you. But Boston Muse is just much better. But he was absolutely squeezed off. That was pretty dangerous, actually, what happened there. Fortunately, nothing bad happened.
That was Joel Rosario aboard. It will be Dylan Davis this afternoon for start number 2. You also, with your 6 to 5, get the other half of the entry in here. Boston Beauties, and they're a pretty nice tandem in here because Boston Beauties is the one that likely is going to try and go to the front here from the outside post. Could not last at 5.5 furlongs. That was the debut. Do you think can last at 6?
Well, a voting agreement who beat him was a very promising Chad Brown-Klarovich runner who they liked going in the race and I thought really delivered. So I don't have any problem with the race Boston Beauties ran. Now, there's a lot of unknowns in here. You've got a lot of horses in this race with pedigree, with good trainers, with good connections. So it may just turn out to be a very, very tough race. But I thought Boston Beauties ran extremely well in this race. Just was unlucky to lose to a better horse.
So we'll see start number 2. That speed can hang on a little bit longer. Luis Saez back aboard. He was aboard for the debut. And by the way, she was 10-1 in that first out start. That price is gone, being part of an entry here. You are done for the afternoon. Paul LaDuca stepping in for Andy. Had fun with you. We'll see you tomorrow.
It was fun. Look forward to it. See you tomorrow. And I'm sure you guys will enjoy spending the rest of the afternoon with Paul.
And
as you will.
The afternoon with Churchill Downs as well as we get set getting inside of 10 minutes to post from that opener under the Twin Spires at Churchill. We'll be back with a lot more right after a break.
It's America's original sport, and no one covers it better than americasbestracing.net. From the sport to the lifestyle, the best races, horses, and destination venues, cocktails, gambling, fashion, and more. americasbestracing.net is a sport for you. Live it, love it, bet it.
Run Happy was a really nice racehorse. The biggest attribute that I see about him is the way he stamps his foals. You know, they got big, pretty walks on them. They got good hips and shoulders. Very pretty to look at. And, you know, the real strong hind leg. You know, everything that you're looking for as a racehorse. You know, that's what impresses me.
Run Happy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. Use promo code TRYRTN for a 5-day free trial.
That time at Oaklawn, when a home run made for a big night. Bet on your favorite teams at Oaklawn's new race and sports book. Oaklawn, a new level of action, a new level of excitement.
The thermal spring waters our city is named after are known for their legendary healing properties. Their thirst-quenching properties are pretty nice, too. Hot Springs, Arkansas. It's different here. Come see why.
America's Day at the Races comes right back at you as we are brought to you in part each and every race day by Run Happy, now standing at Claiborne Farm. Cannot wait to see the babies next year as we have 2-year-olds in the paddock, though, for this 5th race. And we see Chad Brown sending out a duo, actually 2 daughters of More Than Ready for this 6 furlong maiden special weight on the turf course. And we'll start with the inside runner. That's number 1, One Mississippi. Excuse me, number 3, One Mississippi. And it's kind of funny, this race, looking at these horses here in the paddock, because you have those ones that have experience, that have that first start sprinting on the turf. They feel like turf sprinters, and I'm alluding to such horses as Boston Beauties in here. A lot of these first-time starters feel like this is just a starting point. Maybe they're good enough to get up and win going a shorter distance, but they feel like they're going to be better at a mile, if not a bit more, as we'll start, as I mentioned, with number 3, One Mississippi. And there's not much actually to speak of in the first generation, but the Dams have to Striking Dancer, who was a Grade 2 winner on the turf. So there's plenty of turf here. She looks like a turf horse. She does have a bit of a forward energy about her, and she is a little bit more built downhill. So the 6 furlongs for her might be okay, and she's a solidly built runner as well. The thing is, though, is watching her last workout, which albeit was on the dirt, she seemed to get better the further she went. So maybe we see her making a late move here. But like I said, I just feel like more ground is in her future as Chad's other horse. Same thing can be said with number 9, Moral Reasoning. Now this one, a daughter of More Than Ready, the Dam actually have to Caraconti. And watching her last breeze, I like. She worked actually with an older unraced maiden who will be making her first start for Chad this Saturday. And she is good looking. I like her. She's incredibly athletic, very professional, very classy acting, feels maybe a bit more fit than her uncoupled stablemate in here, but again, we'll see what distance she really wants. As the 2B is Alms, a daughter of City Zip, so there's a little bit more pedigree, at least with her, for Mike Stidham to be more of a sprinter, though she's wearing blinkers first time out, and that could go one of 2 ways. Either it's a tipping their hand at this filly not having that much speed, and they want to kind of focus her in, or she does have that much speed. The blinkers are always tough to read with first-time starters. She could look a little bit stronger just across that top line, which does come with racing, but other than that, does appear to be very fit. I just don't, like I said, I'm just not convinced with the overall distance with a lot of these runners. As number 6 is Look Me Over for Mike Matz, a daughter of Hardspun, Half to Coffee Crush. The Dam was a multiple graded stakes winning turf horse, most of them best around a mile. Now she's very big and very mature looking. I really like her as an individual. See what she does going the 6 furlongs first time out. She might need one just to kind of focus mentally. I don't think she's completely turned on as far as being a racehorse and what's about to happen. So I'm going to play close attention to her. I don't think she's necessarily a win candidate, but I'd like to see her run well here, and maybe we take a look at her next time. Now, number 8 for trainer Jorge Abreu is My First Ex-Wife, a daughter of the Factor, Half to Home Run Kitten. Definitely looks like a turf horse. Is a bit smaller, a little bit handier. Does look fit in here, so maybe she's the one you want of the first-time starters, at least at this distance, because Jorge, he does get some first-time starters to win. Greg?
Maggie, thanks for that paddock report. We're going to get you over to Churchill Downs here in just a moment, but first, joining me on set for the first time this afternoon, 4-time Major League All-Star Paul LaDuca. Good to see you.
Good to see you, too. Got a little Churchill Downs coming up, pick 5. That's going to start in a couple minutes. And you have the late pick 4 here at Belmont. So still plenty of action along the way.
Yeah, we're going to get to Churchill Downs. In fact, right now, their first race is coming up. We're going to bring you the first 5 on the card from Louisville as we shift gears. And their first race, 3/4 of a mile coming up. And still heavy favoritism on this outside runner, Ruler of the Nile, who Andy had pointed out. We saw Opening weekend at Saratoga went convincingly at nearly 13-1.
Yeah, found the sledding a little tough considering he was an $8,000 claimer, jumped to 16, and then won a race at Saratoga, then tried a little bit tougher, got beat by Button Razon. So this horse is definitely the class of the field. I thought the one, Cristo Sky, for Bob Hess. This is a horse that was claimed 2 back and ran a bang-up race at Golden Gate. He came back at Los Alamitos and ran very well. And Bob Hess very good with new acquisition. So I thought with Julian Leperoux aboard that those were the 2 horses, and that's what the public thinks as well, 1 and 7.
Well, it's just a massive drop for the
Yes,
7.
giant
and
drop.
2 for 2 with Churchill, you would think going to be very difficult to handle in this spot. Sometimes you face really good horses, though, in better company, and you drop back down. It can break your spirit a little bit.
Here's a horse that cost $1 million at auction that got put in for 16 on 2, got claimed. Got put in for 40, got claimed. Then Steve Aston dropped the horse for 8, and Michael Lauer took this horse, and boom, 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 couple races in a row. And now this horse has put $139,000 in the bank. I know it's not the $1 million that he fetched for the auction. He's turned out to be a pretty good little racehorse now, and he's going to be tough to handle in here.
Meanwhile, the 4 was the Fairmount Park sensation, lower
Right.
level circuit, but put together 5 consecutive victories before going to Arlington, race taken off the turf. That streak came to an end as an even money favorite, but the 4, Midnight Las Vegas, moving in right now. 8-time winner from 23 starts, was on quite a roll. No question, though, horse to beat. Ruler of the Nile on the outside will be the last to load. The 7 horse with John Court aboard. Big drop in class. We kick things off with the opener from Churchill. Let's go to Travis Stone.
They're in the gate. And they're off. Ruler of the Nile on the far outside away well. Griff is there. Midnight Las Vegas for mid-pack. Fires up on through. Treseki's down inside. Holds his spot right at the rail. Now backs off just a bit. So it is Midnight Las Vegas who comes away with the lead with 5 furlongs to go. Ruler of the Nile on the outside is racing in second. Treseki's over to the inside to be third. Griff is fourth, and on the outside is Avian who's fifth. And Cristo Sky's at the back in sixth. 4 furlongs to go. Midnight Las Vegas onto the far turn in front, holding on to a half-length lead 3 furlongs out. Ruler of the Nile is poised right there to the outside second, and now he's getting a little bit closer. Putting in a bid is Ruler of the Nile midway round the far turn. Trek is behind. Griff is winding up with a wide bid. Xavier's in some traffic. Cristo Sky switches to the far outside. They're off the turn. They're in the stretch. Ruler of the Nile's in front. 3/16 to go. A swarm of challengers, though. Cristo Sky's coming boldly down the center of the track. Griff is there, too. Midnight Las Vegas battles on. Xavier's in behind. Ruler of the Nile, something left. Length and a half lead. 100 yards to go. And Ruler of the Nile gets the job done. Wins by 2 in the end. Xavier got up for second. Griff was third. And Midnight Las Vegas was fourth.
7-3-5 finish. Ruler of the Nile gets the win. Had to work a little bit for this.
Yeah, he was much best in here. Great job by John Court, not panicking because he went to the front end and he had some challengers, but he kept pressure on those horses because he knew he was much best. No excuse for the 1, Cristo Sky. I thought Julian Leperoux gave this horse a great ride, swung to the outside, and as soon as he saw clear ground, he just sort of hung. And the 3 in the middle with Angel Serpa was the horse that really battles between horses and runs a nice second here. So you're going to get your longest shot on the board second under your big heavy favorite here. 3-5, 30-1 checks in second.
He has won 4 of his last 6 starts now. Ruler of the Nile, he's now 3 for 3 at Churchill as well. Again, wins at 3-5. 30-1 shot, though, in second to help your exacta. Late pick 4 put together by Paul LaDuca.
Listen, I understand that the 1 in the 1A are the horses to beat in here, Boston Beauties and Logic and Reason. But Boston Beauties, I thought, was home last time and couldn't get the job done. I'm going deep in this race. I thought there's some decent pedigrees in here. 1, 2, 6, 7 in race number 6. I really like the 7 in there, Durkin's Call. 1A, I love Jackson. I thought it was a big scratch in there, but I do think Control Group you have to use. Then I'm going to single the 10, Value Engineering for Chad Brown and Javier Castellano. Then 1, 2, 7, and 8. I like the 1 and 7 of the horses that have run in the last. And I'm going to use the 2 and 8. I think the Ray Handle horse, Jazzy Lady, could be the sneaky horse. And then obviously the 8 you have to use.
All right, you're going to play the Chad Brown game and go with him in the 7th. Smart move, usually. We've been talking a lot on the show earlier about it, how that horse might be beatable, but it's So wide open race as we take a look at this one. Alms, and a nice pedigree on this one here, is a half to a two-time stakes winner. Mike Stidham, 2-year-olds, first-time starters on the turf in sprints between 5 to 6 furlongs over the last 5 years. 43%.
That's sick. 9 for 21, if you want to know the exact stat. It's pretty good. And if you look, this horse has been running bullets at Fairhill, the training center over the synthetic track. But also, look at the 2 moves that Michael Stidham put in this horse on the dirt there. One move out of the gate, 48-2. And maybe that's all he needed to see that, okay, this filly can run on the dirt. Let's get her some more fitness. And there's just too many black, little dots there, which means you got the best work of the day for the 2B not to be live.
All right, we're getting set for a load. Coming up with more on a long shot in this group. Let's go to Maggie.
By far the most impressive warm-up came from number 5, Looking Fine as Wine. And relative to the pedigrees and the connections that we have in here, this horse isn't that dead on the board at 16-1. I mean, you look at the 6, Look Me Over, who has this huge pedigree, a daughter of Hardspun. They paid $235,000 for her. She's a half to Coffee Crush. A Damsel, multiple graded stakes winner. Blah 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 blah. But as I said, in this field, you have horses that just feel like 6 furlongs is just to get a race into them. And yes, as Andy picked number 2, the 2B Alms, I'm scared of her because Mike Stidham trained the half sister Hallie Bell, as you were alluding to, Greg. So he knows what he has on his hands. And number 8, I feel as though, is one that will want this distance. But Looking Fine as Wine, what a massive, impressive stride to her. And she's compact. She's a daughter of Shanghai Bobby. I've seen them run too well, too many times at big prices in turf sprints, not to be a little bit afraid of this horse. I'll be interested to see how she does here because she does look fit, and that warm-up really caught my attention, Greg.
All right, Maggie, thank you. Wow, 18-1 on the 5. Big long shot to consider. Was that horse in your pick 4?
No. I mean, but listen, I used 6 horses. If the budget, I want to keep under like $48 each time I play these tickets. I would have went all, and I did. I went all, to be honest with you. I don't trust the 1 and the 1A, and it could backfire on me. This is one of these races where I think they could run 1-2 in here, or something crazy can happen. I also think the 6 has a shot in here. Look Me Over, like Maggie was talking about. And we're forgetting about another Chad Brown, 1 Mississippi. I know he doesn't win turf sprints, but this horse draws the rail, the straight 3 here. So with a good break, could get good position.
Late pick 4 starts here. Let's send it upstairs to the voice of New York Racing for the call. Here's Larry Colmus.
The last 2 fillies to come up are Moral Reasoning and Ellie's Smile. Moral Reasoning steps forward. Ellie's Smile up to the outside stall will be last to load. They're all in line. They're off. Logic and Reason, Boston Beauties, and My First Ex-Wife splits those 2 and now grabs the front up the backstretch. Then 1 Mississippi, Alms, and a break of 2 back to Ellie Smile, Moral Reasoning to her inside, and then it's Look Me Over and Looking Fine as Wine. It is My First Ex-Wife in front, and under Jose Ortiz, she opens up to a 2-length lead on entry mates Boston Beauties and Logic and Reason 2nd and 3rd. Alms is 4th, 1 Mississippi 5th on the inside, and then it's Moral Reasoning through a 22.28 quarter. Break of 2 back to Look Me Over, Ellie Smile, and Looking Fine as Wine is the trailer as they round the far turn. It is My First Ex-Wife in front. The leader by a length and a half to Boston Beauties in 2nd. Break of another 2 lengths more, and they're followed by Logic and Reason, and Alms is in between horses. Moral Reasoning comes wide, and then it's 1 Mississippi and Ellie Smile. They're into the stretch. My First Ex-Wife, Boston Beauties, Alms on the outside, Alms to the front. Alms has taken over the lead, finishing well are Moral Reasoning and Logic and Reason in between horses, but it's Alms. Alms and Joel Rosario, and they're opening up late. Alms looking strong here by 4.5 lengths on the wire. And then it was Moral Reasoning, Logic and Reason, and 1 Mississippi.
Holmes, first time out. We talked about those tremendous numbers he has in turf sprints here over the last 5 years. Give him another victory here with his daughter of City Zip.
Yeah, when you just see that many bullets over a training track, over a dirt track, and then they debut the horse on turf. But the telling work for me, I'm telling you, was the dirt race out of the gate. They needed to test this horse out of the gate on the dirt track, and boom, it happened. Broke very nicely, very professional here, sat in a very good spot. The 9's gonna launch from way out of it. The 8 got a pretty easy lead over this race course right now in 45 and change, but just folded late. Moral Reasoning and the Chad Brown runner, 1 Mississippi, made up a little ground late, but Logic and Reason, no excuse for the entry here at all, Greg. They were both sitting in okay positions, and they just sort of backed out of it.
This was a dominant win.
No, very
win by
dominant.
that kind of margin here at 6 furlongs on the turf. Wow, 3-1 here on Alm's first time out. This horse may have a bright future. 2B, 9, 1, 3. Alms, Joel Rosario, Mike Stidham. Kick off the late pick 5 with a victory here,
Mike
beating
Stidham
a
and
6-5 favorite.
Blue. You don't see that much.
Yeah. We'll give you the prices from Churchill. Set the stage for their second, the start of their late pick 4 as well when we come back.
In the morning, I'm always looking for talent. With Always Dreaming, it was always about his athleticism. He's like a halfback. When he hit that hole, he exploded and hit another gear. In my experience, horses like Always Dreaming, they stamp their offspring with that ability. I'm racing with Bruno, and this breeding season, I'm always dreaming.
Kentucky Derby winner Orb. On the track, his runners have scored on both dirt and turf, including multiple stakes winner Autumn Warrior and Sipacan Harbor, winner of the Grade 1 Spinaway Stakes at Saratoga. On the track, Orb continues to add winners. And in the sales ring, his 2-year-olds have sold up to $250,000 in 2019. Classic winner, classic pedigree, Orb, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Back on America's Day at the Races, a very impressive first-time out effort from Alms for Godolphin and Mike Stidham with Joel Rosario.
Yeah, and sometimes just stats do not lie. We showed you that stat, 43%. Now it's gone up, 10 for 22, and did it so professionally. And like you said, this was a loaded field. A lot of buzz and a lot of horses. Was able to stride out here. You have 2 Chad Brown horses right behind you, and you sort of left them in their wake a little bit. Now, I know they both weren't bet, and they're probably going to be better a little longer, but I would think this filly's going to want a little longer. A filly by City Zip. I have an Empire Maker Bear, Charity Bell, and she's been working bullets everywhere she's gone for Godolphin Blue, and Joel Rosario was a passenger today, 109 flat. If you had that early pick 5, you got back 3,600, but you had to get that 17-1 jump winner in race number 1.
Yeah, that was a Grade 1 that kicked off our card. Surprising Soul, who was coming off second, beat a length in a Grade 1, by the way, over the jump. Somehow went off at 17-1 in that race.
Yeah, for Richard Hendricks, who's a very good jump trainer.
That was the late pick 5.
Yeah, that was the late pick 5 we're looking at, which I think, if you look at it, the 2's going to play pretty big. What does a shark say? I'm not going to go over your shark experience. I heard that before we came on.
Please don't.
But I think that horse is going to play a lot bigger because everybody was putting a lot or investing in the 1 and the 6, Lady Rosalie. Now, Alms was 5-1 morning line, so I still think you're set up for an okay score in the late pick 5.
Up next, mile and a 16th, New York bred, allowance optional claiming group. I thought a completely wide open group in this spot. And right now the favorite, Carthon, Gary Siaka, the 6.
Yeah, Carthon, probably the one to beat. Listen, a very consistent horse. 2 races here at Belmont, a win and a third, and there are your prices. Ruler of the Nile getting the job done here as your favorite. Big scratch. We were talking about Pat Daddy, but Ruler of the Nile, a lot of class here. Pioneer of the Nile out of the Forestry mare, Heavenly Vision. Johnny Court and Bevo Racing get the job done. And how about Xavion at 30-1, rounding out a nice exacta?
Second race is approaching the 13-minute mark to post. It's 6.5 furlongs, $50,000 maiden claiming race, and wide open betting group. As you can see, 7-2 right now is your favorite. That is Riverboat Gambler moving to the Tom Drury barn. And this horse 0 for 7 so far, ran second at Woodbine last start on synthetic.
Get out your 10-cent Super Q on your Naira Bet app, because this race has got bombs written all over it. It's 3-year-olds, a couple of them debuting, a couple of them have run a couple times, a couple of them run 7, 8 times. This is a wide open race. I could see people making the case for about, I would say, 7 or 8 of the 11 of them.
Meanwhile, this weekend at Churchill Downs, we are going to see one of the top Philly sprinters in the entire country back in action in Kofefe, winner of the Grade 1 test last time out in that terrific stretch duel with Serengeti Empress. And she is going to be extremely difficult to beat in this spot. She might be as low as maybe 2-5 when the gates open.
Let's see. Yeah, I would say, I mean, you look at her numbers in the 6-horse field, like, I mean, she was dominant. I mean, when she lost to Mia Mischief, I mean, you can't take away anything from Mia Mischief, because Mia Mischief, after that race, I think it sort of knocked her out. Kofefe sort of knocked Mia Mischief out, but then came back to win the test. When you look at the rest of the horses in there, now Champagne Anyone cutting back in distance is got to be her main threat, right, Greg? Because she's been facing I guess the other best fillies besides Bell's the One, but Bell's the One was way back behind Guarana, and then Break Even. I know behind Break Even, but Break Even showed a little vulnerability last time that she ran. So, listen, it's Kofefe's race to lose.
Take Charge Angel gave her everything Kofefe could handle. That was off the bench. And she has come back to win again. She had a bad effort in a graded stakes race on a sloppy track. Maybe ignore that. She came back to win next time. So the last 2 times on a fast track, very huge efforts, including giving Kofefe a scare. Maybe she can give her a scare again on Saturday.
Well, maybe she can. The thing about Kofefe, not only is she the best horse in the race, she draws outside, which is giant for her, because she can see what happens inside of her. The 5's cutting back in distance, and you look at the rest of the runners, there is speed, but they don't have the speed of Kofefe. So Sean Bridgman holds all the cards, especially with drawing the outside draw.
Back at Belmont, that's a look at Carthon, who was our favorite. Right now, the co-favorite on the board at 5-2. Last 2 efforts, you know, they were pretty good, and probably makes this one the horse to beat in the race. But just a 2-time winner from 16 career starts. Let's take a look at Carthon in action back on April the 5th, going up against Bluegrass Cat Smile.
Just missed. And this is a horse I think that's been tough to figure it out. Eric Gonzalez taking this horse towards the front end, hasn't worked out. Needs the targets, worked out. So Irad Ortiz did the same thing. He brought this horse off the pace and just going to fall about 3/4 of a length short. And you can see grinding style there in second, not really lunging and really coming at the winner that fast. And the problem is that race was in April. So what's going to happen here now that we're in September? One of the 2 wins was here at Belmont, so I can understand why the public is going back to him at 5-2, but I'm a little bit surprised. I think the scratch of the 1A is helping that, but Control Group, if you just draw a line through that last race, you can make a case for him, and like I said, the 7 Durkin's Call.
Now, Control Group is the remaining half of the entry, and you know, he stakes place in his career. He's a 5-year-old who's danced a lot of dances, 10-time winner from 26 starts, compared to Carthon, who's just 2 for 16 lifetime.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying. This is a horse that's, like you said, 5. It's not only 10 for 26, but 5 for 13 the last 2 years. Here's your worry. Control Group, 0 for 6 at Belmont. Now, Has he run against better? Yes. And in the commentary, he lost to Diversify and a lot of other horses pat on the back. So he's lost against better competition, but he's got to run better than he ran last time.
I don't get that last start. I mean, he just did not run at all at Saratoga.
He stopped. He dead stopped, and I was wondering what was going on. I looked at his other Saratoga race, the Evan Shipman, and he ran well. He stopped. He dead stopped, and maybe that's why Linda's dropping, but
let's be fair. I mean, he was facing tons better horses than what he's dealing with. I mean, he was facing Spinoff, Lone Sailor.
I wouldn't put it by this horse not to come back and run well at all. He's an old veteran, like you said, knows how to win races. You know what? He took August 9th off. I would not be surprised if he decides to run today on September 19th.
Here's a look at Durkin's call. So he's going to go turf to dirt. We'll see if that shakes things up for him a little bit. He's trained by the Hall of Famer Bill Mott. He's been tackling some pretty nice runners as well. The likes of Bankett in the New York Derby at Finger Lakes, Blind Willie McTell for Linda Rice. And he had a couple of victories. He put together some back-to-back wins, including a stakes win. In the Gander, they both came to a mile.
What you need to do with Durkin's call, and this is the reason why I love the horse, you draw a line through his Finger Lakes race, the New York Derby, it's around 2 turns. You draw a line through his turf race, and what do you see? 3 7-furlong races. One was the Pat Day Mile. The other one was the Mike Lee in the Gander. The Gander he crushed. I think he's going to love the mile on the 16th, and he gets an outside draw with Irad Ortiz Jr.
Post parade for race 6 coming up after a short timeout, and more from Churchill Downs on the way as well. They're approaching the 7-minute mark to post for race number 2. I'm going to be stepping out for about a half hour or so. Maggie Wolfadil will hop on the desk to replace me. Much more coming up from Belmont and Churchill right after a break.
Tom Durkin letting you know New York breds start with an advantage. At the sales, buyers pay up to 7 figures. And there's over $2 million in stakes money limited to New York sired horses in the New York Stallion Stakes Series, like the Park Avenue for 3-year-old fillies.
Newly minted wins it for fun.
For fun and money. The winner's share generates an additional $55,000 from the New York Breeding Fund.
Funny Guy's gonna do it.
Funny Guys winning the Times Square division generates the same money. So get with the program at nybreds.com.
Coming on strong.
Minute to stardom. On top, coming down to the final 16th, opening up a 2-length lead.
My love for you.
Wild About Star, shining big here in Berry 1.
Oh, why did I wrong?
Testing 1, 2. The Star Guitar filly leads Champagne Diva close to home. It's testing 1, 2.
Feel my love for you. Coming on strong.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. Use promo code TRYRTN for a 5-day free trial.
What I like best about Run Happy Desire, he showed so much brilliance to win the grade ones that he won, different racetracks, and he was competing against the best horses that made it look easy. When I first heard about the bonus, I thought it was good for everybody, buyer or seller, gets everybody on the same page, that there's a lot of enthusiasm with the horse already, and I think that just helps add to it. I think these Run Happies, the public already wants to like them. That's a great thing, and I think that's a little icing on the cake for the whole deal.
Run Happy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Hey y'all, Sam is back in Kentucky, and we're at the New Vocations Thoroughbred Horse Show. Gonna be so much fun.
Welcome back. You're watching America's Day at the Races. That was Riding with Rosie, a perennial feature on America's Best Racing. Make sure you go to their website to check out more from Rosie Napravnik. Rosie Sharp now, as she is campaigning my man Sam, who once ran in the Kentucky Derby as an off-track thoroughbred. It really looks as though those two are doing well. I'm Maggie Wolfdale, joined by Paul LaDuca here up on the set, giving Greg a little bit of time off to, I don't know, put his feet up.
Yeah, I guess
relax a little bit, get your brain back together.
Nah, we just want somebody better looking up here. That's all that matters.
Oh, I hope Greg didn't hear that. Well, we do have racing today from Churchill Downs. They have that Twilight card. As race number 2, they are making their way onto the track. Maiden claiming 50, wide open event, as you and Greg were talking about. It's a really interesting race here, I think, as we kick things off with number 1, Riverboat Gambler, who was your favorite. Now he's up to 5-1 here, Paul, as Thomas Jury takes over training on this one.
Very sharp trainer is Tom Drury. I would think this horse would move up. I don't know about 5-1. Was your favorite a little while ago?
Off a layoff for Neil Pesson is Grove Daddy.
Yeah, Adam Baskiza will get aboard. This horse needs to improve. Comes from way out of it.
Looking nice there on the track is Smart Arch, a huge long shot.
Yeah, this one for Declan Canner and Connor Murphy. I thought, the son of Arch had a look at a big price.
Why not? His number 5 is Encinitas. He's had his chances for Brian Lynch.
Hopefully you live in Encinitas, California. Beautiful place to live. 9-2 with Tyler Gaffleone.
NOLA win for the Louisiana native, Dallas Stewart.
Yeah, this horse almost fell last time. If you just draw a line through that last effort, I think one of the horses to beat. You're getting a good price here.
Macho Jack will go to Turf to Dirt for his second start.
Got bet first time out and is actually getting bet a little bit today is this gray son of Macho Uno.
Korjak for Al Stall's a lone first-time starter.
You know what? I'm not a giant hockey fan. I have a feeling it could be a hockey player. Who
yeah,
knows?
It looks like
but
it.
But a first-time starter, like you said, by Shackelford for Al Stall.
As number 9 is Trash Talkin' Yankee. He would be an outlier in the state of Kentucky, I'd say.
Yeah, he'd be right at home here in New York, a Trash Talkin' Yankee fan. But this is a horse that's run okay at the maiden 50. I think they bailed the post parade on us.
What's going on? We still have 3 more horses, guys. As 4 more horses, as number 10, we'll still talk about him, Paul. A starting point coming off the back of a layoff, making his three-year-old debut as a new gelding for Bill Mott.
There's Trostek and Yankee that we were talking about earlier. Yeah, and then we were just looking at starting point. First-time gelding actually has clicked down to your favorite from 4-1 to 5-2. Hopefully the cameraman, we have no control over this for all you at home. There it is.
Yeah, Windstar Thoroughbreds.
First time gelding, getting bet here, Maggie. But you look at the horses he's lost to, Fortin Hill,
That's
Family Biz, that's his thing, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, those looked like promising fields as a 2-year-old, but they've kind of not panned out to be that much. As number 11 is Sultry Samurai, another drop down for Steve Asmussen.
Yeah, but he gets his main man, Ricardo Santana, in the irons. This horse got bet last time out, but did not run. Maybe the drop will help.
Big layoff here. Now, last time I did the show covering Churchill, we saw a horse for the West being taken over by Wayne Catalano. Got to the winner's circle.
Yeah, this one's tough to get to. When a Bob Baffert horse runs dead last by 22 lengths, I don't know what to tell you.
Calling it up the AEs is number 14, Ready and Rich. 16th try. Will it be a charm?
7 seconds. This poor horse is lost by a nose. I went back and looked, lost by a nose twice ahead, twice. Wow. So 4 times has been very close, and now finally drops for 50. Maybe at 13-1, maybe he's worth a little bit of a wager.
Now, not taking much money on the board, but number 8, Korjak, I thought was a little bit interesting. Son of Shackelford. The production, while they haven't been superstars, pretty much every horse from the dam has been a winner, a dirt sprinting winner. And 2, Al Stall, I looked this stat up, first-time starters on the dirt and a maiden claimer. He's 10 for 35, 29%, 238 ROI.
And he's got a good thing with Lasix, good ROI Lasix. He's 2 for 6. And, Maggie, if you look at his works, the son of Shackelford, July 20th, 47-4. The 27th, 48-3. August 7th, 48. I mean, those are 3 very good works for a maiden 50 horse. And I think now, after that, he said, okay, now I know what I have. I got a nice little $70,000 horse I paid for. I can put him in for 50 aggressively. If I win, I'm out with the purse. If somebody wants to claim him, they claim him. Could be a good move here. I have a feeling this horse is going to show some speed.
Yeah, at least you kind of get that feeling looking at those workouts as they are loading in the gate. Who did you like in here? Did you have a pick?
Yeah, you know, I ended up, I think, picking the 6, Nola Win, if I'm not mistaken. I just thought, you know, if you look back, that needed that start 2 back, and then the race last time, the horse really almost fell. Now, I know it's been disappointing as your chalk with 4 seconds, but I think the drop will help that horse the most.
Yeah, and he's been tactical as well. He lays right behind the pace. That could be what you need here in this maiden 50 as we throw it out to Travis Stone for the call of Churchill Downs Race 2.
They're in the gate. Nola Win fractures in there. And they're off. Good start for Sultry Samurai. Highlight reel bobbled coming out of there. Starting point flashing some early speed. Smart Darts toward the inside. Macho Jack fires up on through 2. Macho Jack hustled along to make the top. Starting point to the outside racing second. Smart Arch comes away third. Riverboat Gambler squeezing through down inside, moving up from 4th. Encinitas waiting in behind while 5th. Trash Talking Yankee advancing inside from 6th. Nola Win in the thick of it, running along 7th. Korzak is 3 wide in 8th. Ready and Rich up in the 9th. Highlight reel 10th and down inside. And then it's Sultry Samurai, and at the back is Grove Daddy. And up top, it's Riverboat Gambler, who shakes loose. Builds a 3-length lead with 3 furlongs to go. Opening quarter in 22-2. Smart Dart down inside, pushed along to try and keep up from 2nd. Macho Jack is 3rd. Starting point has lost a bit of ground back into 4th. Encinitas is 5th and under pressure. Trash Talking Yankee and everybody else. Top of the stretch for Riverboat Gambler. 5-length lead and 1 furlong to go. Starting point is fully extended back in 2nd. Encinitas on the outside of Macho Jack at the 16th pole. Riverboat Gambler with a 6-length lead. Took the lead early and never looked back. Riverboat Gambler scores by 5. Encinitas up for 2nd, tight 3rd. Starting pointer Macho Jack.
Well, Tom Jury, he had the answers with Riverboat Gambler as set the early fractions. A lot of horses scrambling for the early lead, Paul. He won it. Brian Hernandez secured it from the rest of them, and he never looked back.
Wow, I mean, I've said this over and over. I've been on air for a lot of years. Tom Drury is probably one of the most underrated trainers out there. He very rarely doesn't have a ton of horses, and most of the time he gets projects that come back to the farm that are injured that he has to get back to the races. And this horse has been off since November, almost a year, and just crushed this group. Man, he's such a good conditioner and got the job done. And, you know, I had said I was a little bit worried this horse opened up in favor. You end up getting 5-1 on the one.
And nice prices. We'll kick things off here with the post parade. Number 1, you just saw go by his control group. We'll take a look at number 2, Uncle Si for Chris Englehart and Manny Franco.
Does he have another one left in him, the 8-year-old Uncle Si? He's got almost $650,000 in the bank, though.
Twisted Tom drops in for the lowest price he's ever run for.
Yeah, 0 for 9 the last 2 years. That's the worry. He's got to get back to his old form.
Last race was bad with Bluegrass Cat Smile. We'll see if he can turn things around for Charlie Baker.
Yeah, it really was bad. I'm waiting for Charlie Baker to break out. This horse has been a little unlucky. 1 for 18 last 2 years.
Returning to New York Reds is number 5, 3-13.
Yeah, speed here. Look for this horse to go to the front. Kelly Breen's had a monster year. I would think Dylan and Mr. Amore stable will try to go to the front here.
Carthon coming off a layoff, but he does have the best recent form.
He does, and he's in, like you said, Eric Cancel's always put this horse in the right spot. Now, been off since April. That's the worry.
Number 7 is Durkin's Call. He'll go turf to dirt.
I'm telling you, I think this horse is really going to run a big race today. Just draw a line through the last 2 starts. 2 things he didn't want to do. Around 2 turns and turf. Now he's right where he wants to be. You're getting 4-1.
He is very interesting here. I'll be interested to see where Irad has him positioned in the running of this race as number 1 control group. He'll be looking for that lead, I would think, with Jose Ortiz aboard. It's just, as far as coming back here in 2019, he has just not been as good as he once was.
No, that last race is just so confusing. They brought the horse up to Finger Lakes, and I can understand what Linda was thinking. Okay, he might not be as sharp as he was as a 5-year-old. Let's get him some confidence. He won. They brought him up to Saratoga, and then he just backed out of it. Louis Saez, who rode that, they stopped on him pretty early, about, I would say, halfway through the backside, and he just stopped. Now, the 48 lengths, you got to draw a line through that because, like I said, Louis stopped on the horse. The fact that Linda brings the horse back, drops the horse for 40, it does not worry me, because if somebody wants to take the horse for 40 after the horse just basically stopped and eased, good on you. But if the horse wins, Linda still gets out if they claim the horse. So, and the horse is getting bet at 2-1. So I wouldn't get fooled by that last race.
You know, you're right with Linda. She likes to play some kind of mind games and chess games with her horses. You do want her horses when they're taking that step up. When she instills confidence, that's when they tend to run. But like you said, this horse was eased in his last start. So what are you supposed to do with him? As all of these horses, except Carthon, who does have the layoff to contend with, they're coming off poor efforts. But at least with number 7, Durkin's Call, you can have a legitimate excuse staring at you right on the paper.
You make a good point there. And the other part about Control Group, if you look at the last 10 starts, the Son of Posse, Twisted Tom has beaten him. I know it was over a muddy racetrack. All the way on the bottom in the commentator, Uncle Si beat him. And Diversify, well, that was when Uncle Si probably was a little bit better. But I get it. 2 horses in here have already beat him. And he's coming off his worst race ever. It's just a bad proposition to back this horse at 2-1, in my opinion.
And the argument can be made that, too, he's a better horse when there's some moisture in the ground. I mean, that's when his
the other part too.
his last win came from at Finger Lakes. And you look back through his form when he had those 2 disappointing efforts here last spring. He got on wet tracks, and boom, all of a sudden he's good again.
No, you're right. And he's got 5 out of his 10 wins over a wet track. The other thing that's going against me is 0 for 6 here at Belmont. He doesn't really love the racetrack, where I think Carthon, now your second choice, loves the racetrack.
That he does. As you see those tombstone prices coming in from Churchill Downs. As the more I watch Churchill, the more it seems that the early money is right. As Riverboat Gambler, when we were like 15 minutes out, was your 2 to 3-1 favorite. He drifted up to 5-1. You get 13 plus back on him. Yeah,
and Tom Drury, like I said. So that early double starts with a $13 horse and Ruler of the Nile, who was your favorite in the first leg in that early pick 5. So not a bad double to start there at Churchill.
They are approaching the gate here for this 6th race at Belmont, as this will kick off a pick 3. Only 8 races on this twilight card. Mile and a 16th start, and we do still see favoritism with Control Group. They are saying, in Linda we trust here, Paul. I can't say I don't trust Linda. I just don't trust this horse, per se. And I think Durkin's Call, he deserves a sniff as well. Carthon, if he can return to the races as he was running during the springtime at Aqueduct, he could be the horse to beat.
He could be. And the horse that worries me that I did not use is Twisted Tom, because I know he's 0 for 9, but before he was 0 for 9, he was 7 for 10. He used to love to win races. So sooner or later, the drop, he's going to break through.
And his last 2 wired by the very talented New York bred Mr. Buff, as we are about 1 out. So that means it's Larry Coleman's time, as we'll throw it upstairs for the call of race number 6.
And here comes Durkin's Call up to the outside stall under Arad Ortiz to complete the line. They're all in line. They're off. Very even beginning here as Carthon goes out to the early lead. 3-2-13 on the inside. Farther out is Control Group and Durkin's Call on the far outside. So it's these 4 who will lead the way early on, ahead of Uncle Si in 5th, and Bluegrass Cat Smile, and Twisted Tom is the trailer up the backstretch. Carthon is the leader. Control Group is second on the outside. 3-2-13 tracks them in 3rd position through a 23.34 quarter. Durkin's Call is on the outside, running in 4th, just outside of Uncle Si, who's in between horses. Bluegrass Cat Smile is back about 5 lengths from the pacemakers now, and Twisted Tom's a bit closer. He's 6.5 lengths off the lead. So they continue their journey up the backstretch in pursuit of Carthon. Durkin's Call is moved up on the outside, and now the 2 of them are right together as they make their way into the far turn. A 46.94 half. There's a half mile to go. 3-2-13 is next on the inside. And then it's Uncle Si moving up there 3 wide. Control Group is in between horses. Bluegrass Cat Smile taking the overland route here 4 deep on the turn. And it's another 4 back to Twisted Tom, the trailer. Carthon, Durkin's Call, these two matching strides on the lead as they make their way to the top of the stretch. Then Uncle Si, Control Group, and 3-2-13 on the inside, and they're into the stretch. It is Carthon and Durkin's Call. Matching strides up front. Bluegrass Cat Smile coming up to them on the outside. 3-2-13 trying to find a way through traffic there. Control Group is next. As they arrive at the 16th pole, it is Bluegrass Cat Smile who has taken charge here. Bluegrass Cat Smile has the lead coming down to the wire and will win it at 22-1. Seconds close, maybe Control Group in a photo with Carthon. Durkin's Call was right there too.
Longest shot on the board as Bluegrass Cat Smile. Guess he just needed that race up at Saratoga, Paul, off that little bit of a layoff. And Charlie Baker, he's so good. He's such a good conditioner. Maybe he hasn't had one of his banner years, but he just consistently knocks them in.
Yeah, and we were talking about this horse. I was waiting for Charlie to break out, and I looked at you and I said the 4 is going to pass these horses because he's just been coming out a mile and an eighth, mile and a 16th races, and a lot of these horses are coming off layoffs, or they're just, you know, like Control Group coming out of sort of, you know, races where they didn't get much conditioning. There was some crowding there, but I don't know what happened, but there's nothing to do with the winner. Clear here at 22-1. And I want to say Control Group battled back here for second. The 1 here is going to outduel the horse on the rail who battled back to beat.
Carthon ran very well off the bench.
Yes.
I think he does get nipped for second, but as you said, Control Group, he just kind of grinded it out to pick up place honors, as we'll check out the slow-mo here. But no doubt about your 22-1 winner in Bluegrass Cat Smile. Charlie Baker teaming up with Rajiv Mirage. I like the fact that he stayed loyal to Rajiv throughout this horse's campaign. So big balloons here as far as this sequence is concerned with this upset.
You know, I thought Irad made a little bit of a premature move on the 7, and he sort of sped up the pace with the 6. So that's why I think you're right. The 6 ran a bang-up race because he sped up the whole field, and what ended up happening, it just sat nicely for a horse cutting way back in distance, and that was this horse. But it's good for Charlie Baker and Rajiv Mirage. I mean, this is his first win for Rajiv at the meet. He had a rough meet at Saratoga with a lot of seconds and thirds. Both of these connections did. So 22-1's got to be a nice little, hopefully he's got a win ticket in his boot.
Well, it's a big weekend here at Belmont. It's a big weekend down in Bensalem, Pennsylvania, as the PA Derby will be run this Saturday. We did see the defection of your morning line favorite in Maximum Security, but Mr. Money, could he end up going off as the favorite as he's searching for his 5th win in a row, as we will have more on this talented 304 Brett Calhoun here on America's Day at the Races.
Run Happy is simply super. He polishes off an outstanding campaign with a dominant victory in the Malibu.
No medication, no problem. Run Happy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Good Samaritan, the last great son of Harlan's Holiday. A debut winner at Saratoga, followed by 14 consecutive graded stakes performances. A Grade 2 winner on dirt and turf.
Good Samaritan to the Breeders' Cup.
Good Samaritan has taken the lead and he's pulling away.
Out of the family of Sky Mesa, Bernstein, and Champion outstandingly. The last great son of Harlan's Holiday is only at WinStar Farm.
They're off. Bet the horses anywhere, anytime with Naira Bets.
Rushes out of there to take the lead.
It's easy on your computer or Naira Bets app. Earn valuable reward points on bets. Play in our exclusive promotions and earn cash rebates. Sign up now. Bet $200 and get $200. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. NairaBets.com.
Welcome back. You're watching America's Day at the Races here on Fox Sports 2 as well as MSG Plus. Checking out the winner of today's 6th race. That was Bluegrass Cat Smile, 47.60. Paulie, how could we not have this one over Control Group and Carthon?
you know, the thing is you can somewhat get to this horse. You really can.
Yeah.
And like I was saying, I'm just waiting for Charlie to break out. He's just such a good trainer. But congratulations, Bluegrass Cat of a Dixie Brass mare, Serenity Smile. And this is going to blow up to pick 5 now because what does the Shark say was third choice? Alms was 5-1 morning line, and Bluegrass Smile just was your longest shot on the board. So if you're alive, you just need to get it home from here on out.
Kind of funny that the shortest price up there was a first-time starter.
Yeah.
Go figure. As we'll move ahead, though, see if we can make things a little bit more logical. We'll have another upset here in race number 7, as your even money favorite is Value Engineering for who else other than Chad Brown. But there's some interesting players in here. I thought Jay Beresford-Tipton was an interesting proposition for trainer Arnaud Delacour, as well as Rudy Brissett, who was sent out number 3, Bluegrass Parkway.
Yeah, Bluegrass Parkway is a horse that interests me an awful lot. I lost the digital age, been behind a couple really nice horses, and he's a colt that probably needed a little bit of rest, been training very, very well, and Rudy's very good off this type of layoff, but he's going to have to deal with Value Engineering on the outside. Been a tiny bit disappointing. We'll see if he can conquer winners for the first time.
As we'll also have racing continuing from Churchill Downs. Race number 2 is in the books. Riverboat Gambler returned 13-20, 5-1 over post-time favorite Encinitas. We will have race number 3 coming up in just a little bit from Churchill on the main track, going a mile, optional allowance, and we will see a scratch number 7, Celerity, and number 2, Got My Mo for David Cohen, as well teaming up with his main man, Robertino Diodoro.
I mean, this horse has been running in Canada at a track CTM, also running at Hastings, but this horse has ran 3 straight races, won by like 22 lengths up in Canada. Now Robertino Diodoro, where he started at Hastings Park, has now taken over the training, and David Cohen, his main man, will be aboard. But Got My Mo's got a ton of speed. But there's a lot of speed above board. The 1's got a little bit of speed in there, and so does the 2, Glad to Be Here. So it might be a little bit tougher for the son of Uncle Mo, but he's trying some competition in Kentucky after dominating in Canada.
Nice segue for a horse on a streak. We'll check in with another horse that's riding a win streak. That's number 6, Mr. Money for this PA Derby. Brett Calhoun and Gabe Saez. Well, some may say he's taken the easy road here to success, but when you're winning by open lengths as he is in races like the West Virginia Derby and Indiana Derby, then you deserve a shot at a Grade 1 $1 million purse. As Mr. Money, he will assert himself in this position, and while Brett Calhoun, he was looking forward to facing Maximum Security, he feels as though his options are totally open with his talented son of Golden Sense.
We've been looking forward to it for a long time. I think Maximum Security was the top 3-year-old in the country. I was looking forward to running against him. I just felt like if we could beat him, that would put us up as a top 3-year-old. It's a good race still. You know, Improbable was highly thought of early on, Derby favorite. Seems to be doing well. So it's obviously a little tougher race for us, but our horse is doing very good. He's gotten very consistent. He's got a lot of confidence right now. I think he's answered a lot of the questions people had about distance and things like that. So he's coming in the race very, very good. He didn't have to have any gut-wrenching, grinding, all-out kind of races. He won pretty handily in all those races, and I think that kept him a little fresher.
And what we didn't get to hear from Brett about Mr. Money, and he said if they were to win the PA Derby, Paul, he had about 3 different lines of attack mapped out. They win, they could go to the Breeders' Cup Classic, or they could stay home at Churchill Downs, a track in which he's had a lot of success over, and run against older horses in the Clark, or very lofty maybe plan of attack is to give him the rest of the 3-year-old season off, prep him for those very rich races that we see in the Pegasus, the Saudi Cup, and the Dubai World Cup, and take on older horses for the first time.
Well, I mean, listen, it's very, very ambitious. For him to say on camera, hey, listen, I wish Maximum Security was in here because I think my horse can beat that horse. And he didn't even mention the Preakness winner, by the way, War of Will, who's inside of you, who's going to probably give you a handful. And there's some other horses in here, like Improbable for Bob Baffert, who put the blinkers on and is going to be on the front end, horse that does not like kickbacks. So he's pretty confident, is Brett Calhoun, with his horse. And the questions were, was he a one-turn horse? Now, has he passed it in West Virginia and some of these other places where there were two-turn races? Yeah, he has, but the competition behind him has not been much. We'll see if he really passes it coming this Saturday, because I understand Maximum Security's out of there, but War Will and Improbable are not two chumps.
No, they aren't. That's for sure. It's still a very talented field, and I was of that camp thinking that this horse probably didn't want to go that far of the classic distances, but I can say that it looks as though he's relaxed a lot in his training, and his workouts have been sensational at Churchill Downs. I remember watching him training down at the fairgrounds this winter, and he was a really kind of high-energy horse, but he's really mentally matured, which I appreciate. But boy, you couldn't have Connections acting more confident in their charge.
No, they're confident, and he made a great point. The one thing he has on War of Will went through all the rigors of the Triple Crown. He sat back and sort of waited. His horse is fresh. Now, Improbable is fresh too. You know, ran in a couple of races and then got that, like, shared belief. They rode a race for him at Los Alamitos, and he jogged. And I understand he's fresh, but nobody's fresher than Brett's horse, and that is an advantage for him.
That it is. I'm looking forward to that PA Derby as well as the Cotillion. The Cotillion's a loaded race where horses really kind of searching for the top. Will Guarana kind of remain on the top of the 3-year-old fillies, or does somebody else assert themselves as division leader? As you're checking out your current even money favorite, that is Value Engineering for Chad Brown off the back of a maiden victory in which I got to say, Javier Castellano really gave this horse a good ride, and that it was a patient ride. It was a confident ride with a horse who was much the best.
Yeah, you can see why he's behind Ryan on wall of horses. So where does he going to go? And Javier is just so brilliant at this. He's going to either duck to the inside, outside, but then he gets sort of the split. Your worry is there's 6 horses at the wire. So is this a good race or not? He does stride out very nicely towards the end of that race. He is favorite 2 times before that. He was 3rd. He was 2nd. Clint Maroon's a nice little runner. But is he vulnerable in here at even money?
That he could be, because I think there's some other interesting horses in here. As we'll take a look at number 5. That is Hobo. He's run consistently fast enough. He's a multiple winner in the face of Value Engineering, who's only won the 1 race. And this guy for Dave Donkey participated in the West Point last time. He kind of ran evenly that day. But you could also say that his better races have come back here at Belmont as opposed to Saratoga.
Yeah, I was almost drawing a line through him because I thought Offering Plan was towards, like,
twilight of his career.
Yeah, twilight of his career.
Yeah.
He broke bad, did Hobo, that day. And then, when I look at it, I'm like, he likes firm ground. And then I look Belmont, wow, his best races are by far at Belmont. His best numbers are here. So this gray likes it here in Belmont.
Well, we'll see if Hobo, the New York bred, can upset Value Engineering. Also, some new shooters from out of town, including Jay Beresford Tipton and Bluegrass Parkway, will take on Value Engineering in today's feature from Belmont. Stay tuned. You're watching America's Day at the Races.
Go from Railbird to Winner's Circle. With My Racehorse, you have access to top horses and trainers, backside tours, exclusive ownership experiences, and fast payouts to your online account. With shares starting as little as $100, the Winner's Circle is waiting for you. Go to myracehorse.com or download the My Racehorse app today to join the thousands who have already started their journey as a racehorse owner.
Warfront. This son of Danzig ranks among the world's elite sires. With Grade 1 winners on dirt and turf, and star performers both at home and abroad, Warfront's success as an international super sire is unmatched. Recent Grade 1 winners include Omaha Beach and Preakness Stakes hero War of Will. In the sales ring, his $2.4 million sale topper at Keeneland September was the highest price yearling sold in North America last year. Warfront, standing at Claiborne Farm.
They're on. Bet the horses anywhere, anytime with Naira Bets.
Rushes out of there to take the lead.
It's easy on your computer or Naira Bets app.
Earn valuable reward points on bets, play in our exclusive promotions, and earn cash rebates. Sign up now. Bet $200 and get $200. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. NYRABets.com.
You know, I think Run Happy has a lot of things going for him. Obviously, he's been very respected, and to, you know, to give people further incentive to buy them for where they can take an offspring, run it, and if they win, they're going to get a $100,000 bonus for each Run Happy they have. You know, it's another selling point from our perspective that really helps us promote the horses that we're representing and we're selling.
Run Happy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Back on America's Day at the Races, it's brought to you in part by Claiborne Farm. 100 years of doing the usual unusually well. Greg Wolf back in for Maggie Wolfendale. Thanks to Maggie for sitting in for a bit. Going to hear from her much more coming up during the show. I know you do. I heard your comment at the beginning of the show why I'm not here. That's okay. She is better looking than me.
Although you tweeted out your video today, the tease of the show, and I saw a couple, you know, emojis with hearts in their eyes from women.
Really?
You're a heartthrob there, Greg Wolf.
Not in your eyes, though, apparently. More coming up from Churchill. We are 2 minutes away from the third. And this happened just a few moments ago. Above board, Steve Asmussen just claimed this one off a 12.25 length win.
Yeah, giant win. You're right, for $5,000. The son of Escandrea likes to win races, though. 8 for 32 lifetime.
Glad to be here, and I am, for Ronald Brown.
I say it every day. I'm just glad to be here.
How lucky are we?
I know.
Struggled last start and struggled at a lesser racetrack. Before that, had won 4 in a row. A couple of them at Indiana Grand. The 3, Mark My Way, Barry King.
This horse is in good form, right? I mean, I know it's been at Belterra, but
13-time winner.
Yeah.
327,000 in earnings. Got My Mo's the 4, another one in sharp form. 6 for 9 lifetime.
Yeah, we were talking about this horse before he came on. This horse is in Canada, won 5 in a row. That's where Robertino Diodoro started, so he inherits this horse, and very, very fast.
Ransack went by at 7-2. Big contender with Calvin Burrell. Beat a nose last start, and here's Ike Walker.
Yeah, Ike Walker, and I think Ransack both are contenders. Both horses that will come from maybe a tiny bit off the pace.
Frost or Frippery on the outside. It's Corey Lannery for Chris Hartman.
Back to dirt, and this is a horse that was a synthetic specialist, and last time just did not run at all. Now they're going back to Churchill Downs, where the horse is 0 for 18 at Churchill Downs, but we did just see a horse at Belmont that was 0 for 9 over it, and I think the 8 can close into a nice little pace here.
Chantal Sutherland on this 3.
Is that who you're liking?
Mark My Way. I think there's a lot of ways to go in this race. I do not prefer the 3.
Horse is a win machine.
But you can make a case for this one.
8-year-old by noon mark, 327,000. We were talking about Belterra, but if you look at the races at Churchill Downs, they just don't stack up to the races at Belterra. Maybe this horse has gotten a lot better, but I just don't see it happening today. 14-1 right now, Greg? Yeah.
I like Ransack a little bit.
I'm
the
with
5.
you. I'm with you. Because there's pace in here, right? It's a mile, 1-turn mile. The 1 probably going to go. The 2, I would think has to go. The 4 got My Mo. That's only one way he knows how to go is to the front, and he's shown 22:44 type speed. So in those, if I'm not mistaken, or more, well, it looks like it's not a bull ring, because if you're running 109 in a bull ring, you're smoking. So I would think that's a mile track. So they should be going fast up front, and your horse Ransack that you like, I think should be sitting right in the rings with Calvin Burrell and could be in that, like, first or second group.
Travis Stone with the call. Here's the 3rd from Churchill.
Waiting for Ike Walker and Frost or Frippery. They are in the gate. And they're off. Froster Frippery missed the break and is off near the back of the pack. Good beginning for Got My Mo mid-pack. Ransack is also there. Here comes Above Board squeezing through down toward the inside the challenge as well. Up the chute they go. Got My Mo in between horses. Ransack on the outside. Above Board at the rail. Those three right across the track. Ike Walker backs off to be fourth in the early stages. Glad to be here. Over to the inside, running along in fifth. Mark My Way is sixth. 5 lengths back to Froster Frippery, outrun in the opening quarter mile. So down the backstretch they go. Got My Mo going head-to-head with Above Board. They're 3 lengths clear, 5 furlongs out. Opening quarters on the board in 22 and 3/5 seconds. Glad to be here, sneaking up on the inside of Ransack. They're together, 3rd and 4th with a half mile to go. Then it's Mark My Way. Ike Walker's lost ground. It is now 6 or 7 lengths off the lead. Frost or Frippery at the back of the pack. Round the far turn, Got My Mo head-to-head with Above Board and 3 furlongs to go. And right there, Above Board puts a nose in front. But Got My Mo fights right back at the outside, and they're head-and-head for the lead as they come to the top of the stretch. Ransack is looming in behind while 3rd. Mark My Way swings to the outside in 4th. Glad to be here, cut the corner 5th. Top of the stretch, Above Board, Ricardo Santana Jr. shaking up on that lead. Got My Mo is battling hard on the outside in 2nd. Froster Frippery's weaving through the pack, putting in a bold late run. Mark My Way on the outside as well. 16th to go. Above Board and Got My Mo are exhausted. Here's Frost or Frippery from last to first on the wire. Wins by 2.5. It's tight for 2nd. Mark My Way or Got My Mo. Then it was Above Board or Glad to be here.
Frost or Frippery, not exactly a Churchill Downs specialist. 0 for 18 coming in. But, I mean, you look at his last 3 starts on a dirt surface. He'd been on synthetic. They were all very, very good, including 2 wins.
Yeah, and you can see that Corey Lannery with the yellow cap, he had lime cap, he had hit the horse at the top of the lane. Now he's starting to split horses, and the 3 who's running on late here, Mark My Way, gets inside of Chantel Sutherland and her horse, and they're going to come down the wire and run 1-2 here, and this is going to be a nice exact. Oh, no, they're not. The 4 ran 2nd there and held on, but no doubt about Froster Frippery. Got My Mo actually battled on to run a nice little 2nd.
Back at Belmont, 1.25 inner turf. And wow, I just don't get 4 to 5 on value engineering in this spot. Javier Castellano, I understand it's Chad Brown coming off a maiden win. You're tackling multiple winners, trying this distance for the first time. Here's Tis Morning, Joe Bravo aboard 16 to 1.
Yeah, 2 starts back, very good race. Then tried the Sword Dancer above his head at the time.
Bluegrass Parkway, it's Rudolph Brissett, Jose Ortiz.
Maybe it's Bluegrass to Bluegrass. We'll see what happens. Different sires here. This one for Rudy.
Curlin's Legacy, trained by Pat Kelly. Eric Cancel rides.
Yeah, 6 to 1 winner last time in a maiden 40 at Saratoga. Now 50 to 1 on the line, all the way down to 27 to 1.
Way too big a price on Hobo, who's a 4-time winner on turf and only try at a relatively similar distance. Got beat a neck running 2nd.
Yeah, and a horse for course. I'm with you. 7 to 1, too big of a price. 6 for 7 in the exacta here.
Karam, Bobby Robato, Dylan Davis missed by a neck last start at Saratoga at 1 3/8.
Yeah, got beat by No Man's Land and got ran down in the lane. Chris Landeros gave the horse a good ride. Not going to be able to get away with those fractions today.
Jorge Abreu sends out Belgrano with Hall of Famer John Velasquez.
Seems like the horse at the window that everybody likes. 10 to 1 to 9 to 2.
Very interesting runner here. Jay Beresford Tipton, blinkers on for start number 3.
Tough read, right? A horse that broke the maiden at Delaware, then went to Colonial, ran a decent 2nd, now puts blinkers on for Nard Delacour. Bred very interesting. Animal Kingdom out of Western Wintermare.
Leading trainer, leading owner from Saratoga, and Javier Castellano in value engineering.
It's Chad Brown, it's Klarovich, it's Castellano, like you said. That's why you're getting 4 to 5.
Meanwhile, Bluegrass Parkway, 8 to 1. Jose Ortiz on board for Rudolph Brissett, a son of quality. Rode for more on this runner. Let's go back to Maggie Wolfendale.
I like this horse, guys. I know Andy Serling does like this horse too, but based upon what he had said in regards to this horse's last trip, at the half-mile pole, before they even left the backside, this rider at Churchill Downs decided to launch this 4-wide bid to run up to the leader by the time they hit the quarter pole. And as we saw earlier, those moves just don't work in these 1.25 mile contests. You have to be patient, patient, patient. And This is a good looking animal. He's probably the best looking horse of this grouping, to be honest. I was a little concerned about how amped up he got, kind of in the paddock and on his way out there, though I like the fact that Jose Ortiz gave him a warm up away from the pony, get some of that nervous energy out, release it a bit so he's a little bit more settled and easier to handle during the running of this race. So I think this horse is very interesting at a pretty big price, currently of 8-1. Also taking some money is the horse coming in by way of Colonial Downs. That's number 9, Jay Beresford Tipton. Broke his maiden at first, asking at Delaware slow. And then he comes back at Churchill and he runs well, considering he moved up a lot in buyer speed figures, about 20 points. He still looked a bit green too in the lane, kind of weaving in and out all over the track a little bit. So there's that thought that because he's inexperienced, he still has some learning to do, so therefore some improvement. And 2, with the addition of the blinkers, you would have to think any bad habit like that is trying to be assuaged by the addition of this equipment, which is just a fairly large cheater cup, a short cup of the large variety. That's a complete oxymoron, but as I said, a large cheater cup for a horse who looks as though he should thrive going 1.25 miles, Greg.
2 minutes to post. I know you like the 3 a little bit, and if you look at the running lines as we go back to Bluegrass Parkway, I mean, just been facing your Saratoga Derby winner, Thread of Blue, Digital Age, DeMarshall Yeh for Chad Brown, who are
award winner,
graded stakes winners,
Global
started out
Access.
their careers perfect 3 for 3. They were in the Belmont Derby. Yeah, there's a lot to like with that horse.
There is. And the reason why Jose Ortiz rode this horse at Tampa in the Columbia and lost to Digital Age by a length, gets back on the horse. That's what I love the most about it. Now, the 1.25 miles, is that the question mark? Yeah, it is, because at 1 3/8, he made a tiny bit of a middle move and he stopped into a slowish pace. What kind of pace are we going to get in here? I don't know today. But I think Jose, this horse will be a little bit fresh, and I think could be close. Now, the 5, I'm just not in love. I did not love the last race. I get it. This horse likes Belmont. I don't know if 1.25 miles is up his alley. I know 1 3/16 way back in August 17th, way back in 2017 might have been his cup of tea, but I don't know now if he really wants to go this far.
We'll find out. Yeah, his only try, he ran huge at it. Even money, there's no reason why this horse should be this price.
I agree. It's Chad. It's a Chad effect. I get it. But Belgrano ran the same number last time. The 1 actually ran a better. I mean, there's 3 or 4 horses there that ran a better number than the 10. But Chad just excels at these kind of races. He excels when they go 1.25 miles, gets an outside draw, and Castellano sticks. So the public's going to go that way. And probably the most singled horse in the late pick 5. If this horse gets beat and you're still alive going to the last race, you're going to be a happy human.
I thought the Rail Runner had a shot. Horse 2 back. That figure fits in this spot. And then they put him in Grade 1 company. He's 18-1 tis morning. Big favorite, 4-5. Outside Value Engineering coming off a maiden victory. Is odds on for Chad Brown. We send it upstairs to Larry Colmus.
Value Engineering, odds of even money coming up to the outside stall. And they're all in line. They're off. Hobo bounces out of there. Tis Morning is hustled along by Joe Bravo to grab the early lead. Then Belgrano, Jay Beresford Tipton is next, and then Value Engineering on the outside. And then comes Karam, Curlin's Legacy, and Bluegrass Parkway is the trailer. It is Tis Morning and Jay Beresford Tipton heading into that turn 1-2. Belgrano is 2 lengths off of them, chasing from 3rd position in the early stages here. 23.48 was a sharp opening 1/4 mile for the distance. Hobo is 4th and 5 from the front, then the favorite Value Engineering in 5th. Break of 2.5 to Karam, and they're followed by Bluegrass Parkway. The trailer is Curlin's Legacy. Onto the backstretch, Tis Morning, the leader by 2. Jay Beresford Tipton will sit 2nd. Then a break of another 2 to Belgrano. Hobo on the inside. Value Engineering travels along in 5th. 7 lengths off the lead through a 47.66 half mile. Then Karam, Bluegrass Parkway, and Curlin's Legacy is last. Tis Morning taking it to him early here, opening up 4 lengths on the field as they continue up the backstretch. Jay Beresford-Tipton is second by 2. And then it's Belgrano and Hobo together third and fourth. Value Engineering is still about 8 lengths behind as they've gone 3/4 in 111.73. So they're just motoring along here. Tis Morning and Joe Bravo out there by 4 to Jay Beresford-Tipton, who now comes under a ride as Belgrano moves up alongside of him. Value Engineering is getting closer. Now taking fourth from Hobo, and Karam is right there too, and so too Bluegrass Parkway, who's going to take the overland route to the top of the stretch. Tis Morning off the turn in front. The leader by 2, Hobo, now comes on the attack. Jay Beresford-Tipton, Value Engineering. Karam is coming through on the inside. On the far outside, it's Bluegrass Parkway. They're down to the final 16th. It is Hobo in front. On the outside, Value Engineering. These two with Bluegrass Parkway third down the outside. They're coming down to the line, and it was a determined Hobo that may have held off Value Engineering. Bluegrass Parkway was third, and there's a photo for fourth.
Hobo, he got a challenge late stretch from Value Engineering. It looked like he just was able to hold him off.
Wow, this great son of Macho Uno showed some guts down the lane. The 3 was bobbing and weaving. The horse we thought that might have a chance. Jose Ortiz gave his horse a great ride, but another good ride by Castellano. But Hobo just turned the Chad Brown runner away and actually went away from him here late. Value Engineering. As you can see, just a hand ride for Manny Franco. So strong. We talk about Manny all the time. He's very hard to get by. I was dead wrong. I did not like Hobo at all, but Manny had him in a perfect spot. And this is what I love about Manny. He gets to the outside. He sees the 10. He corrected his horse. And now he just goes to a strong hand ride with that left. And he continues. And when the 10 gets up to him right here, it looks like he's going to go right on by with Castellano. He has the answer.
9-2 over 6-5, and now a 5-time winner on turf, edging out a horse who was coming off his maiden victory, and somehow he was 9-2. The other horse was 6-5.
By the way, they went very fast. I don't care how fast the turf is going. You go under 2 minutes on a mile and a quarter, you're rolling 1:59 and 3. That's a very fast time for these type of horses. I thought the 3 ran giant Bluegrass Parkway. Probably just needed that race. Next time out, it's going to be very, very tough. Jose gave the horse a great ride, but I think the top 3 finishers, that was a bang-up race.
There's Hobo, gets the win. David Donk, Manny Franco. Let's go back to the start of this race. Keep your eyes on the 3, Bluegrass Parkway.
Yeah, I don't know if he breaks, bad, or he just takes a little while to get in stride. He doesn't break bad, just a little while to get in stride. And you see, like, Jose's trying to ask him, then he's like, you know what? Let's just sit back here now. We're okay. We're comfortable in the stride. And he got pace in front of him. He really did. The horses went at it up front. As you can see, the 10 was way back, and he sort of drafted off the 10, but when he swung way outside behind the 10, I thought I had him beat, Craig, but you could see Castellano's down on his belly, and Manny Franco's bobbing and weaving with Hobo, and then when he finally put the stick away, it's very hard to turn away a Chad Brown runner, but he was able to, and again, this is going to spice up your Empire and your late pick 5, especially because I think a lot of people singled the 10 in here.
There's David Donk, winning trainer. Manny Franco and Hobo get the win, and even in defeat. Value Engineering might not have won this race, but first time against winners. You're facing a pretty good horse here, who's won now over 260,000 in his career.
Yeah,
that's a decent effort.
Yeah, you make a good point. Yeah.
Hobo gets the win for Siegel Says Stables, son of Macho Uno. 3rd win on the Belmont turf, and gets it done here at 1.25 miles. Prices when we come back. We'll set up the nightcap when we return. 5, 10, 3, 6 finish here in the 7th.
Piranha, the leader in fly control and wipe and spray products, now has premium equine grooming products. Introducing Aloe Pro Shampoo, an organic concentrate enriched with vitamins A, D, and E, and silk protein. Piranha Detangler, a dry comb-through detangling spray that conditions, moisturizes, keeping tail and mane manageable. And Shine Baby Shine, a water-based coat conditioner that leaves a show ring shine every time. Visit piranhaeat.com to see our full line of equine products, and for a limited time, use promo code NYRA to receive a 10% discount on your order. Piranha on, pests gone.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. Use promo code TRYRTN for a 5-day free trial.
Run Happy was a really nice racehorse. The biggest attribute that I see about him is the way he stamps his foals. You know, they got big, pretty walks on them. They got good hips and shoulders. Very pretty to look at. And, you know, a real strong hind leg. You know, everything that you're looking for as a racehorse. You know, that's what impresses me.
Run Happy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Welcome back to America's Day at the Races. Feature race, little bit of an upset, though a horse who likes to win races. The Gray Hobo, conditioned by trainer Dave Donk, as he joins me here in the winner's circle and battling out the even money favorite, Value Engineering. Dave, that was a valiant performance by Hobo.
Yeah, it was a really gutty race. Broke well today, was kind of in the race. Manny said he was there for him all the way. That was a big effort through the stretch, and I just thought, man, Chad's going to get me again.
I know, but he really stuck his neck out today, and Manny really seems to have a good rapport with this horse.
Yeah, you know, I don't think he's a difficult horse to ride. He's had a few different guys win on him, but he's been on him enough. He knows him. But Manny gave him a great ride.
And a horse who you've kind of taken advantage of a lot of different options. And when you're in these open allowance races, considering you've won a claiming race, you've won New York bred races, does that give you an edge over a horse who's just graduating from a maiden special weight?
Well, I think there's no question. He's got a maturity, experience edge over some of these horses that are just a straight A other than. But it's the value of a New York bred. You know, he's not really a stake horse, but, you know, he's competitive and he's there every time.
I gotta ask you, could we see him in a stake, though? Because the Mohawk, that's 5 weeks away on New York Showcase Day?
Well, listen, they run the race Sunday. The boys run Sunday. And there's 2 or 3 pretty good horses. They beat me in the West Point last time. What would make me consider it? One, I don't have a lot of options. And if it's a lot softer ground, I was concerned today because it was really firm. I think soft ground moves them up. So yeah, I suppose we're going to have to take a serious look at it.
It's always a serious thing that could come up in late October as far as the ground is concerned. We'll enjoy this win, though, Dave. Hard-fought victory by Hobo.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
All right, always good to catch up with Dave Donk. Taking down the feature today, guys. Hobo, he does like it here at Belmont, too.
Yes, he does. 3 wins now from 8 starts and has been in the money in 7 of 8. Hobo.
Yeah,
David Donk does such a nice job.
He does, and we put so much credence in horse for course into Saratoga, and here's a horse that loves it here at Belmont and gets the job done. And again, this blows up your Value Engineering was singled in a lot of tickets, and Hobo will get the job done for David Donk, the son of Macho Uno out of a Cape Town mare, Bound Tempo. Siegel Says Stables, Manny Franco, another winner on the card. He's continuing to stay hot. Here's the pick 5 sequence. The lowest you can do is around 12,000, if I'm not mistaken, and onward. So big payoffs. Blue Cat Smile blew it up. What does a shark say? What's third choice? It's really tough to get to this point. So hopefully you're alive. If you're alive, you're alive for a big score.
Nightcap mile on the turf. Restricted maiden special weight coming up for 2-year-old fillies, and morality clause for Ray Handel the 7. That is the horse to beat. But right now, not the favorite. A favorite is a first-time starter for Brian Lynch. Ella Bria, daughter of Kitten's Joy, out of an Empire Maker mare.
Yeah, it looks like the 2 and the 8 were the horses that you thought, okay, are they going to take money? They're the first-time starters. But the 7, yeah, you're right, is the horse to beat. And Frost and Frippery from dead last, way out of it with Corey Lannery. 0 for 18 lifetime at Churchill. Not anymore. It's first time for everything. Now 1 for 19, Mark My Way. Actually did get second over Got My Mo. Must have got the bob there. So nice little exacta.
4th at Churchill. Maiden special weight. It is 3/4 of a mile coming up. It's approaching the 6-minute mark to post. Favorite right now, Dancing Destroyer. Norm Cassie showed big speed at Ellis in the debut run, backed up to third. Took money in that race, too.
Yeah, cleared an 11-horse field and just faltered late. Lose the race by about 3 3/4, and should be the speed, facing a lot of first-time starters in here. You don't really know what you're getting here, especially 2-year-old fillies.
Here's the 2, Misty Blue, 8-1. Blinkers going on, Mike Maker.
This is a move that's usually good for Mike Maker, and I think a horse that you can definitely play. Back to the 1, Arima for Jimmy Graham. Big long shot for Danny Pites. This one in the Shadwell Stables, Silks.
Daughter a hard spun, 38-1. Another look here at Misty Blue, who we just talked about. Another one who was in Ellis against your favorite, Dancing Destroyer, was well behind her. 22-1, meanwhile, on Boomtown, the 3.
Yeah, Boomtown, this one from Patio Prado. How about Ben DeLong, the trainer? First time with him, 31%. So maybe a price play here at 22-1.
Will Take Charge filly is right here. Take Charge, Patty, 9-1.
Yeah, rider change here to Edgar Morales. Actually, Brian Hernandez was listed on this horse in the 13. The 13 drew in, so Brian went to the 13.
Street Sense filly, Lustica for Brendan Walsh, debuting.
Bullet Work, 2 back at Ellis Park, gets Tyler Gaffleone and debuts with Lasix.
Another first-time starter we'll see in a moment here, the 6, who is by a sire that stands for $7,500. Sold at Keeneland November for $150,000.
Yeah, son of Daredevil, and got bullet drills. I would think this filly is very, very fast, at least early in the race. Tote Board is saying it too with Johnny Court. She's getting bet a little bit to 8-1.
23-1, meanwhile, on a daughter of Verrazano for Joe Sharp, getting an aggressive warm-up.
Yeah, this horse will debut with Lasix for Barry and Joni Butzow. They're very involved in racing. Adam Beschizza getting, like you said, a vigorous warm-up here. Maybe we'll show some speed.
2-1, meanwhile, on our favorite, start number 2 for the Jimmy Creed filly for the Norm Cassie barn. And there the 8 say, I want to rest now.
Yeah.
Actually, we skipped to the 10.
And there's the 9, Dancing Destroyer.
It's a 10, actually.
Yeah, and then we saw the 10 earlier, Jilted Bride. I'm surprised. Santana Assassin, first-time starter, $150,000 they paid for this horse by Wicked Strong, not getting bet at the window.
Here's the 11, Turtle Tracks, Ian Wilkes, daughter of Cairo Prince. Tyler Bays will ride.
Bullet drills in a couple really nice drills will debut at Lasix and is opened up pretty live on the board.
Yeah, some very sharp works as we go now back to the 9, the favorite, the second-time starter for Norm Cassie.
Like we said, showed blazing speed first time out. And if you look at the drills since then, they've just been stamina drills for Norm, getting this filly to probably get the 6 furlongs today.
Super Saver filly went for $250,000 at auction for Ron Moquette.
Steady, steady drills. I like the drill on August 11th at 48th and 3, debuts with Lasix. I wouldn't dismiss.
And Ian Wilkes, also eligible, does get in out there somewhere. The 13, I don't know if we'll get a look at her or not. Cents a Million. Brian Hernandez Jr. will ride.
Yeah, she debuts with Lasix for Turf Stable Racing LLC. And like I said, Brian Hernandez shows this one over the 4. Take that for what it's worth.
We're going to take a break. We'll be back. Come Dancing. She was brilliant in the ballerina. Completely blew the start. It did not matter at all. One going away by 3.5 lengths in that Grade 1 7/8 race. Returning to action this weekend at Belmont. We'll talk about her chances when we come back.
Flatter. This prolific son of A.P. Indy has sired 6 millionaires, including Eclipse champion West Coast. This year, he's adding even more stakes winners to his outstanding record, including Sovereign Award winner Avies Flatter. In the auction ring, his yearlings have topped the Fasig-Tipton July sale 2 years in a row. Success on the track, success in the ring. Flatter, standing at Claiborne Farm.
That time at Oaklawn, when a home run made for a big night. Bet on your favorite teams at Oaklawn's new race and sports book. Oaklawn, a new level of action, a new level of excitement.
The thermal spring waters our city is named after are known for their legendary healing properties. Their thirst-quenching properties are pretty nice, too. Hot Springs, Arkansas. It's different here. Come see why.
You couldn't compose a better pedigree.
A half-brother to Beholder.
Beholder's gonna go all the way.
A half-brother to Into Mischief.
Into Mischief wins the Kiss Call Futility.
The most versatile performer from this brilliant family.
Mendelssohn's going to do it. Mendelssohn has won it by a length.
What a win by Mendelssohn. Mendelssohn by a conservative 17 lengths.
Scat Daddy's best-bred son at stud. Mendelssohn.
It's America's original sport, and no one covers it better than americasbestracing.net. From the sport to the lifestyle, the best races, horses, and destination venues, cocktails, gambling, fashion, and more. americasbestracing.net is a sport for you. Live it, love it, bet it.
Come Dancing comes to the 8th pole. She's got a 2.5 length lead. Dawn the Destroyer next. Toward the inside and third at Special Relativity. Come Dancing. Oh, she came running today. Despite that start, she waltzed home.
Things could have gone horribly wrong in the ballerina for Come Dancing after getting bumped, pinched at the start. Javier Castellano, he was aggressive anyway, putting her into the mix. Just after that beginning, it didn't matter. She was brilliant, and she is going to be an overwhelming favorite.
It sort of did go wrong, right? Everything did go wrong. I've never seen a horse get pinched at the break like she did, and then just Javier Wheeler outside and then just circle the field. We just saw the stretch run. She circled that whole field after she got left at the break. It was unbelievable.
4th at Churchill, 6-5 favorite is the 9 Dancing Destroyer.
I'm surprised
Some
at the
other
2. Misty
interesting
Blue,
runners in here.
11-1, and I like that horse probably the best, and the 10 Jilted Bride, but the 2 has a race, good works, Maker's good putting blinkers on, Channing Hill sticks. I thought that horse had a look.
Travis Stone with the call. Starts at pick 5 here in the 4th from Churchill.
Waiting for Turtle Tracks, Goulding, Auction Fever, and Sensimillion. They're in the gate. And they're off. Good start for Turtle Tracks, and Dancing Destroyers away well, too. Misty Blue down inside is hustled up. Goulding is up close. Lustica comes away racing 4th, well in between. Break it 2 lengths back to Jilted Bride, who's up into 5th. On the outside to Take Charge Patty, who's running along in 6th. Sweet and Salty Chris is racing 7th by 3. And then it's Sensimillion on the outside in 8th. Boomtown moving up from 9th. Turtle Tracks in between Wild 10th. Auction Fever, and at the back is Arima. 4 furlongs to go. Misty Blue onto the far turn, holding on to an arrow lead. Dancing Destroyer keeps the pursuit up, running in 2nd on the outside. The quarters on the board in 21 and 3/5 seconds round the far turn. Meanwhile, Jilted Bride is looming with a 3-wide bid. Goulding is right in behind with Lustica. Take Charge Patty's winding up from the back, 6th, and on the outside, the rest have to get going. Far, far back is Sensimillion starting to wind up, top of the stretch. Misty Blue turning for home in front. Dancing Destroyer full out, but still 2nd. Jilted Bride is bearing down on their outside. These 3 cross the track, 1 furlong to go. Misty Blue still there. Dancing Destroyer well in between. Jilted Bride on the outside. 100 yards left. Dancing Destroyer, Misty Blue, Jilted Bride. These 3 stretch long battle. Here's the wire. Misty Blue got it. Hard fought win it was. Dancing Destroyer was 2nd. Jilted Bride was 3rd.
Mike Maker, 2nd time out, was coming out of the same race in which Dancing Destroyer finished lengths in front of her. She turns the tables today.
Channing Hill, one of the most underrated riders on the front end, did a great job of getting this daughter of Competitive Edge to the front end with the blinkers on. I talked right before the race. Michael Maker is dangerous with this move. In the 10, Jilted Bride, Ricardo Santana loomed up and just sort of idled a tiny bit. The 9's battling in between horses, but Channing Hill is going to get this horse home, 2, 9, 10. And I want to see this horse was like 8 or 9 to 1, somewhere in that area.
8 to 1. Made up 5+ lengths on Dancing Destroyer from when they faced each other in that debut. Post parade coming up here in a moment. Hong Kong racing, of course, biggest betting pools in the world. They are now available in our bets. Shatin. Last season, the average win pool in Hong Kong was $27 million with an average win payout of $90. So Shatin, they race tonight and into tomorrow morning. Go to nairabets.com for all the details. Here's our post parade from the nightcap. And wow, 7-1 on a Chad Brown. Lady Kaza trying turf for the first time in start number 2.
Yeah, and tough horse to read, right? Chad putting this horse on the turf after a bad race on the dirt, but I'll take 7-1.
Ray Handel's got a couple of runners in here, and this is the more lightly regarded of the two, the first-timer, but she's intriguing. Luis Saez.
0 for 22 with his first-time starts, but we've seen a lot of first things today, so I would not dismiss. I like this, the pedigree on the two.
Two horses cause a hit in the Empire 6. This is one of them, Sweet Leaf.
Yeah, the 3 and the 6, you're right. And Mike Luzzy, blinkers go on. I would think they're going to show a little bit more speed today.
Here's the other one that would result in the Empire 6 getting hit. Positive Power, Eddie Davis.
Yeah, and this is a Davis family affair with Dylan aboard. This horse got 3 races. The last one wasn't that bad. You're alive for the jackpot. I would think that's the more logical one.
First-time starter for Brian Lynch, daughter of Kitten's Joy, Ella Bria, who is still your favorite.
This horse has been working at Churchill Downs. Very interesting that he decided to bring the horse here to make her debut.
Shiza has a nice turf pedigree, and will get on that surface for the first time in start number 2 for John Service.
This one out of a AP Indy mare in November. Rosario aboard. Got left last time. Or broke flat-footed, then showed some speed.
La Negrita, daughter of Fed Biz, Rudy Rodriguez, turf start number 2.
You know, the first start on turf, this horse was confused, got caught wide. They put blinkers on him last time. He ran a ton better, so they're giving him another shot on the turf.
One to beat, morality clause based off what she's shown on the turf so far.
Yeah, she is. Her 2 starts that she had in her first 2 starts of her career were very good. Her last start was a legitimate bump. She had an excuse. With a better trip, she could run here.
And Wicked Keisha rounds out the field. First-time starter, daughter of Wicked Strong for Randy Prasad.
Yeah, this is a horse that's an outsider in here at 23 to 1, maybe down the road. I have the Tail of the Cat mare, which is a lot of precocity, though.
All right, so that's your group here in the last mile on the Widener turf course. Restricted maiden special weight, and this one has held steady as the favorite, making her debut for Brian Lynch, and Jose Ortiz gets the call.
And there is first-time starters over the turf for the last 5 years. Brian is 4 for 69. He doesn't really crank him up, and usually his horses show a lot of speed. This one I have an Empire Maker mare, Kitten's Joy, going a mile on the turf. Remains to be seen with Jose Ortiz, but he's putting Jose Ortiz on. I would think there's got to be a lot of intent, especially when this horse has been basically working in Kentucky. There's not one work on the paper in the vicinity of New York. So obviously, he shipped her up here with a purpose.
Let's get more on this group. Head trackside to Maggie.
And just a reminder, as far as the conditions of this race, it is one of those restricted maiden special weights, although it's not written out if you have the DRF PPs denoted with the R in the rectangle. For this maiden special weight mile on the turf, and we'll start by talking about horses who have some experience, but none of which on the turf, including the second-time starter who ships by way of Laurel/Parks and Shiza for John Service. She was under a ride most of the way in her debut, and typical of a horse who probably wants the turf. Once they come off the bridle, well, they just spin their wheels on the main track. She actually does have a bit of turf pedigree, being by Cairo Prince, the half-sibling, one in on the turf a few times in Europe. So there's some pedigree there. And also the dam half to the cliff's edge, which doesn't bode well necessarily for turf, but then again, still half to the cliff's edge. Big, solid, good-looking filly, too. Like the way she's warming up. She has that big floaty stride to her. Just, again, watching her in the paddock, watching her on the track, I think she should like this move to the turf course, as well as getting a little bit more ground. Number 6, Positive Power. I've been waiting for her to get on the turf. She does have a bit of turf pedigree. She's by Misremembered. There's 2 turf winners in the family. Dylan Davis, as you guys mentioned, teaming up and riding for his brother. She might be limited as far as her quality is concerned, but I do think she'll move up with this switch to the turf course. Now on to some first-time starters. Number 2 is Jazzy Lady, one of 2 Ray Handle horses. As we see, his other charge in here will likely be a short price. And number 7, Morality Clause, although second choice on the board. Well, no, third choice on the board right now. But Jazzy Lady sold for $32,000. The OBS open sale, 10-3. Not the most impressive looking work. She was on a wrong lead. She just seemed a bit green, like she really didn't know what she was doing. And 2, that she wanted to run over a distance of ground. So she's getting that first time out here. She looks as though she should like the turf. She's a really pretty, elegant, nicely put together filly. Maybe she needs one for the light bulb to go off, proverbially speaking. But still, I'll pay attention to how she runs here, as she will offer some value on the board with Louis Sias aboard. And then your current favorite, first-time starter from the Brian Lynch barn. As you guys put up that stat, not very successful with this type of move, as Ella Brea, I think Brian capitalizing on this condition race for these horses. I think she sold for $27,000 as a yearling, sold for obviously less than $45,000. She is a daughter of Kitten's Joy, a fool to Wayward Kitten, who was a good, productive turf horse, not a superstar, but ran well on it. She looks a lot like her sire, of that sire line, to be honest. But a lot of times they're of the heavier variety, where they need to run into fitness. Sometimes it's just them and they are fit despite looking a bit heavy. And she fits these conditions well. Like I said, I just kind of question her overall fitness levels, especially against a field where many of these have started before, Greg.
All right, Maggie, thanks. We're getting close here. A minute to post here coming up. And, you know, Morality Clause we talked about based off what she's done. The horse to beat. And, you know, this is a restricted race, which Maggie touched upon.
Yeah, and
had
the
to sell for a certain price or
lower.
lower.
The restriction is a great point by Maggie. If you read the racing form, you don't get it. And you see Ray Handel 0 for 22 with his first-time starters. Sprint to route on the turf, too, for the last 5 years.
Yeah, that's with the 7.
With the 7. And his first-time starters, he's 0 for 22. So if you like both of Ray Handel's horses, you're 0 for 44 in those categories. But like I said, this is the first time for everything. When Maggie was mentioning, the conditions of this race are for 2-year-old fillies that sold for $45,000 or less at their last auction or RNA'd. So they didn't go through the ring or were not bought. So Ella Brea obviously was not bought through the ring, and all the rest of the horses cost less than $45,000. That's the restricted. So good catch there by Mags. And yeah, it's actually a cool little way to get a field together of some horses that didn't cost a lot at the sale, but they're still maiden special weight type of fillies, and you get a full field of 10 and got scratched down to 9. But yeah, nice little condition written up there.
Well, and back to the point I was going to make with the 7 Morality Clause, and you saw those poor numbers there for Ray Handel with the type of move he's making here on the stretch out. Morality Clause was in a restricted race, ran second. It was a race that came off the turf, but then tried open company on the turf and at Saratoga and got drilled in that race.
Yeah.
But, you know, I'd faced open company prior at Belmont and ran okay, but that last start is a little troubling with the 7.
Yeah, it is. It's a tiny bit troubling. And that's the same thing with the 9. Ran against open company and then came back in against New York Breds on dirt. Another unknown, you know?
Yeah. So, I mean, the races Morality Clause the 7 has run, even though it has hit the board, if one of these horses getting on the turf for the first time or debuting can run just a little bit, wouldn't shock you in here. Let's send it upstairs. Nightcap coming up. Here's Larry Colmus with the call.
Just one left to load here. Wicked Keisha being led to the outside stall by the gate crew. She'll be the last one to come forward here as Ella Brilla holds favoritism at this point at odds of 5-2. Wicked Keisha comes forward and in, and they're all in line. They're off, and walking out of there was Jazzy Lady. Good beginning for La Negrita. She goes out to the front and opens up to lead by 2 lengths over Lady Kaza, and Shiza is away running in third. Then Morality Clause on the outside. Sweet Leaf coming through on the inside. Positive Power is next. After that tardy beginning, Jazzy Lady has gone by both Elabrilla and Wicked Keisha. Up the backstretch with La Negrita, leading the way under Arad Ortiz and running through this opening quarter mile in 24.66 seconds, on top by 2. Lady Kaza, Sweet Leaf second and third, and then it's Shiza to the outside of Positive Power. Jazzy Lady is down toward the inside, Morality Clause alongside of her and 6 lengths off the lead, then Elabrilla and Wicked Keisha. They continue their run for the far turn here, where it is still La Negrita grinding out the lead, and Lady Kaza now draws up alongside as Shiza is just outside of them through a 50.74 half mile. Then Positive Power in behind the leaders, Sweet Leaf down on the inside, Morality Clause 3 wide and 2.5 from the front. Elabrilla is alongside of Jazzy Lady, and then comes the trailer Wicked Keisha. Making their way to the top of the stretch, La Negrita with a narrow lead here as they turn for home. Lady Kaza moves up alongside, and outside of them it's Shiza. And it's these 3 across the track. Morality Clause is next, and then Positive Power, Elabrilla on the far outside, and Jazzy Lady. It is Lady Kaza. Lady Kaza has the lead close to home. Shiza is second, late close on the outside from Jazzy Lady. It's Lady Kaza. To beat Jazzy Lady on the wire, third is either Elabrilla or Shiza.
Lady Kaza, Chad Brown dismissed. Price did come down a little bit to 5-1 in here, but start number 2 gets on the turf, and she liked it.
Wow. I mean, listen, like I said, like sometimes when you just forget about Chad Brown, he jumps up and he beats you, and the horse just really didn't sit the best of trips. I mean, was in between horses most of the way, had the favorite, the 5 right to the outside, and was just able to put this horse away. I mean, had a ton left. Great ride by Castellano. I'll tell you what, the straight 2 here ran a bang-up race. You could see that the 8 on the outside, Elabrilla is trying to make a big move. When the 2 saw the 8, he took off, or she took off, and started really running here late for Ray Handel. For a guy that doesn't really crank his horses first time out, watch out for the 2, Jazzy Lady, next time she runs. But don't take anything away from the winner here. Lady Kaza, Chad Brown, Javier Castellano got nipped at the wire in the last race. Wasn't going to happen this race.
1, 2, did the 5 nudge the 8 for third? It was close.
Very close. That's 1 strided away pretty nicely here, Greg. I thought the 2 ran on really well. But Chad, unbelievable. This horse just dead last. When do you see a Chad Brown lose by 21 lengths on the turf, get dismissed? But that's what happened when you let a horse go 115. But look at the way this horse finished. 139. That's got to be the slowest mile on the turf I've seen at Belmont in a long time. But if that's the right time.
Yeah. And by the way, the race, I mean, she was coming out. Obviously, she looks like she's better on turf. But it's 2 Jeremiah Engelhardt fillies that beat her, who are both pretty talented. One of them we saw on a stake the other day. Misty Blue back at Churchill, meanwhile, $18, 40 cents for the win. Look at that, $2 pick 3 over $1,200. Turning the tables on Dancing Destroyer.
Congratulations to Hooties Racing LLC and WSS Racing, affiliated by Competitive Edge, out of a charismatic mare. We don't see a lot of them before. My name's Nicole. Blinkers went on, resulted in a W. Dancing Destroyer fought on, not going to be a maiden much longer, and then Jilted Bride, I thought ran well too. You're right, that pick 3, 1,200. So if you're alive in that late pick 4, or I mean, early pick 4 or early pick 5, you're alive for a nice little score.
Race 5, it's for non-winners of 2 lifetime, $40,000 claiming tag. It's a mile and a 16th. On the turf coming up, 9-5 favorite. It's complicated. Norm Cassie again with a favorite after just running second as the beaten favorite in the last race.
Yeah, Declan Carroll takes over the riding here. This is affiliated by Real Solution, going to get back on the turf. And Norm Cassie, 44%, 4 for 9 so far off the claim. Claim this one for Kenny McPeak, and I think this is why this horse is getting bet.
Javier Castellano, Chad Brown, 5-1 in the nightcap. This late pick 5, upwards of $40,000. We'll be back.
Whether you have Derby dreams or midsummer Derby dreams, this is Tom Durkin to tell you a registered New York bred can take you there. That New York bred Exact and the Whitney by multimillionaires Diversify and Mind Your Biscuits shows the kind of quality that allowed New York breds to earn more than $93 million on the world stage last year. On-track successes have spurred New York bred sales result. At the March OBS sale, Chestertown sold for $2 million. And this New York bred 2018 yearling brought $1 million at Saratoga. So get with the program at nybreds.com.
What I like best about Run Happy Sire, he showed so much brilliance to win the grade ones that he won, different racetracks, and he was competing against the best horses that made it look easy. When I first heard about the bonus, I thought it was good for everybody, buyer or seller, gets everybody on the same page, that there's a lot of enthusiasm with the horse already, and I think that just helps add to it. I think these Run Happies, the public already wants to like them. That's a great thing, and I think that's a little icing on the cake for the whole deal.
Run Happy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
They're on. Bet the horses anywhere, anytime with Naira Bets.
Rushes out of there to take the lead.
It's easy on your computer or Naira Bets app. Earn valuable reward points on bets. Play in our exclusive promotions and earn cash rebates.
Off the turn with a length and a half lead.
Sign up now. Bet $200 and get $200.
The dramatic finish.
Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. NairaBets.com.
Back on America's Day at the Races, and we are in the books on this Thursday afternoon at Belmont Park. Just when you think Chad Brown is beatable, think again.
Right? I mean, this horse ran 6 by 20 some odd lengths first time out on the dirt, brings the horse back on the turf and just runs away from this group. First time starter, the 2, Jazzy Lady, runs second. So it's Lady Kaza over Jazzy Lady over Ella Bria. So a lot of women in that trifecta, and hopefully you had that as well.
2 first-timers, though, to keep your eyes on for next time out.
Yeah, and look at the pick 5, 42,000. The Empire, 14,000. We talk about it having a carryover. Still, I mean, $14,000 is nothing to sneeze at, and there was the pick 5 follow on. You had to get the Bluegrass Smile, to be honest with you. I mean, I didn't like Hobo. That would have probably been my toughest horse, to be honest with you. Sometimes it's tougher to get a lower horse. The way I handicap, I could have got the Bluegrass Smile. I couldn't have got the Hobo, to be honest with you. I did like Lady Kaz a little bit, but if you put that together, you deserve that 42,000.
Back to Churchill. Post parade for the 5th here coming up. And again, for non-winners of 2 lifetime, we're going to start things off with Sisters Ready. Charles Lepresti and a more than ready filly who has only hit the board once in 6 turf starts so far, as we hear or see at least the call to post coming up.
Yeah, and well dressed, looking the part. Looks like he just got done. Well done. Well done.
Sharp.
Yeah, very sharp. Just a sharp forearm. Yeah, you're right. You want it to be very stiff, not too rigid.
Yeah.
You know?
Well done there.
Yeah, very well done.
Do you realize it is not that long before we're going to be lining up for the first Saturday in May? It's really not.
I know, right?
It's crazy how fast things go.
I know. My dad asked me, do you like any horses already for futures?
Yeah, you got to start thinking about it. Here's Sisters Ready. Julian up a row board.
I'm surprised 9-2, but Le Peru and Charlie Lepresti, they go back to the Wise Dan days.
Swiss Dot, 22-1, Brian Williamson.
Winner last time at Arlington, breaking the maiden, but that was a slow time.
Liner, 2 back. That was the only turf try. Was a win for 30 maiden claiming.
It was a good win. Always tried to hit these when I was up at the plate. Liners. Line drives, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I was a line drive hitter.
8-1. You hit a few out of the park, though, in your day. 8-1 on Tricky Tune, Channing Hill.
Our boy Tom Amos at 8-1. This horse has been behind some decent horses. I think it's got a shot and can be forwardly placed.
For Ron Palucci, Dance the Day Away, big long shot. Daniel Sanders sends out.
Yeah, the one time on the turf with Declan Cannon was not bad. Now Jack Gilligan will be aboard.
24-1 on a filly with some speed. Pass it on.
Yeah, a horse that does have speed. You're right. Almost was home at Colonial last time out and got run down late.
3-5, beaten favorite last start. It's complicated.
Yeah, it goes from Chantel Sutherland to Declan Carroll. Claim from McPeak to Norm Cassie, who's very good off the claim.
25-1, Russian Girl. Abel Lizcano aboard.
You know, two-back crushed a group for maiden 15, then went to Kentucky Downs and got crushed.
9-5, Breezy B, Keith DeSormo, Jimmy Graham.
Yeah, this horse coming in from California and comes from way out of it like most of the DeSormo horses do.
And 12-1, Just a Dream, Daughter of Cross Traffic, Bernie Flint, went gate to wire on a race taken off the turf at Indiana Grand last start.
When you look at this race, the 4 is the fastest horse in this race, and maybe the 10 on the outside, depending on what Corey Lannery wants to do with Just a Dream.
We're going to take a break. We'll be back. Race 5 from Churchill kicks off the late pick 4. We'll have it for you when we return on America's Day at the Races here on Fox Sports 2 and MSG+.
Whether you have Derby dreams or Midsummer Derby dreams, this is Tom Durkin to tell you a registered New York bred can take you there.
Diversify!
That New York bred Exact and the Whitney by multimillionaires Diversify and Mind Your Biscuits shows the kind of quality that allowed New York breds to earn more than $93 million on the world stage last year. On-track successes have spurred New York bred sales result. At the March OBS sale, Chestertown sold for $2 million. And this New York bred 2018 yearling brought $1 million at Saratoga. So get with the program at nybreds.com.
What I like best about Run Happy Desire, he showed so much brilliance to win the grade ones that he won, different racetracks, and he was competing against the best horses that made it look easy. When I first heard about the bonus, I thought it was good for everybody, buyer or seller, gets everybody on the same page, that there's a lot of enthusiasm with the horse already, and I think that just helps add to it. I think these Run Happies, the public already wants to like them. That's a great thing, and I think that's a little icing on the cake for the whole deal.
Run Happy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
They're off. Bet the horses anywhere, anytime with Naira Bets.
Rushes out of there to take the lead.
It's easy on your computer or Naira Bets app. Earn valuable reward points on bets. Play in our exclusive promotions and earn cash rebates.
Off the turn with a link to the half lead.
Sign up now. Bet $200 and get $200.
The dramatic finish.
Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. NairaBets.com.
We're gonna go traveling.
This proven son of Giants Causeway has sired 4 millionaires, including Claiborne Farm stallion Lee. Recent top runners include Cutting Humor, winner of the Grade 3 Sunland Park Derby, plus 3-time graded stakes winner Sharp Samurai, and international star Shamal Nibras. This year, his 2-year-olds have brought prices up to $310,000. First Samurai, standing at Claiborne Farm.
You're watching America's Day at the Races on Fox Sports 2, MSG+, and we have the 5th coming up from Churchill Downs here on the turf at 1 mile and a 16th. And it's still Breezy. Actually, it is Breezy B, the 9, who has become the favorite. The 7 was the favorite for a while.
Yeah, it's complicated for 10 strike racing. We were talking about, you know, that horse as we're looking. I think we're taking a look at the 2. There's the deuce right there. Swiss Dot for David Cohen. Winner last time out. There's the 9. Breezy B, winner, 4-back, maiden 75,000 at Santa Anita. So usually the maiden 75,000 Santa Anita, they're maiden special weights. Nobody's claiming, maybe a filly they would, but nobody really is going to claim a horse for 75,000, especially out in California. And then came back to a starter allowance race at Del Mar and just did not run at all. I don't know how that translates here.
Well, here's the thing, too. I mean, she is going to have to launch from so far out of it. So she's going to have to work out a trip. She has no speed at all.
I get it.
She could be dead last in here.
Yeah, I get it. But the biggest drop in racing, 2 biggest drops in racing, is maiden special weight to maiden claiming, and from starter allowance to condition claimers to non-2s. And that's what's happening here with Breezy B. Tricky Tune's doing the same thing. That's why I don't understand why the 4 is not getting bet here, because the 4 could be the speed of the speed in here. It's complicated as getting bet because Norm Cassie's just very good off the claim, and if this horse runs her maiden race, she wins.
She was favored in that 30 maiden claiming race. I don't know if it was the toughest.
I get it. But she won by 2 1/4, and then the second place finisher was 9 1/4 clear. She went 133. I get it's a fast racetrack, fast turf course at Ellis, but she was run. 133 is running. So she's probably the one to beat off the claim, but she's coming out of a 16 non-2 that she couldn't seal the deal. Now the horse that won did come back to win, got a 72 or 73 by or something like that.
No. Meanwhile, Sisters Ready has taken significant support down on the inside. Went to Kentucky Downs. Entry-level allowance was too much for her.
You surprised at the horse getting Bennett?
Well, she was in for 30 non-winners at 2 and hit the board against a next-out winner.
The one wins over synthetic, though. I mean, I get it. Lepresti, Le Peru, first time this horse has been in for a tag or has it. Last time in for a tag at Ellis Park, 2 back for 30 non-2. Favorite there, got beat by next-out winner, ran a 59 buyer. I don't know, not for me.
I thought the 4 had a look. Tricky
I'm with
Tune.
you. That's like Tom's horse. If the 10 doesn't go, Russian Girl's got a tiny bit of speed. I don't see why not Tricky Tune could be in the front end here. Tom's horse, the 4.
See how it plays out. Travis Stone with the call. Race 5, Churchill.
They're in the gate. And they're off. Russian Girl toward the outside with a good beginning in tight. There's Passadon on the far outside. Just a Dream races up. Liners toward the rail and Tricky Tune in between. So those 3 right across the track. Bias for the first time. And Tricky Tune comes on to take over. Liners going to back off to be second. Just a Dream is restive on the outside, racing in third. 4 lengths back. Russian Girl comes away 4th. It's Complicated alongside of Passadon. They are together running 5th and 6th. Breezy Bees up into 7th. Sisters Ready covered up inside while 8th. Dance the Day Away second to last early, and Swiss not the last of them all. 23 and 1/5 seconds for the opening quarter, and isolated up top, it's Tricky Tune. Tricky Tune with a 5-length lead midway down the backstretch. Liner backs off from second. Just a Dream is cruising up alongside of that one. They're together second and third now. 3 more lengths back to Russian Girl in 4th. It's Complicated, sneaking up through the field, up into 5th on the outside of Passadon, who's running in 6th. Breezy Bee following them onto the far turn, and then it's Sisters Ready down inside. Swiss Dot is covered up at the back with Dance the Day Away. So round the far turn, Tricky Tune still in front by 2.5. Just a Dream running in second. It's Complicated is winding up. Russian Girl comes on through between them. Breezy Bee is 5th and only 4 lengths off the lead as they come to the top of the stretch. Tricky Tune is still in front off the turn. Leads by 2 with 3/16 to go. Russian Girl to the attack. Breezy Bee's coming strongly down the center of the course. Passadon is weaving through in between horses while down inside. 1 furlong to go. Russian Girl comes away with the lead. Russian Girl just like that opens up by 2. Tricky Tune. Here's Passadon with a late bit on the outside, but Russian Girl got it. 1.5 in the end. Passadon, long shot second. Tricky Tune was third. Breezy Bee 4th.
Russian Girl, she had that huge win on the turf to break her maiden at a lesser track.
Yeah, but
Didn't like Kentucky Downs and then rolled right on by the pace setter here.
Yeah, won by 8.5 lengths at Belterra at 6-5, and I was waiting for Tom's horse to put her away, but she just kept on coming and coming and coming. This is a monster try here because Pass It On for Chucky Lopez was a big price too. This is 26-1 over 36-1 over 6-1. I want to say your 8, or excuse me, the 9 ended up 4th here at 5-2, but this Exacta and Trifecta and everything else is going to be balloons. I wanted to see what this pick 5 is paying, by the way. Hold on. Okay.
8-6-4-9 finish. Russian Girl with the win. Daughter of Get Stormy.
I know,
we had a
right?
Get Stormy win here yesterday.
Okay, hold on a second.
We are wrapping up here. Are you going to be able to do this in enough time?
Russian Girl. What? Pick 5 for $2. $78,000. So about $20,000 for 50 cents. We've seen some big pick 5s today, my friend.
42,000 here.
Wow.
Another huge one out of Churchill. We are done. We're back tomorrow, 4:30 Eastern on Fox Sports 2, 4 Eastern on MSG Plus. It was Surprising Soul, grade 1 to kick off the card over the jumps in the Lonesome Glory. Dismissed for Richard Hendricks and mom Wendy Hendricks. Ross Garrity aboard for that big upset. Bluegrass Cat Smile, another huge upset in the 6th. Charlie Baker, he can get it done. Rajiv Mirage aboard for the victory. And Hobo edging out. Value Engineering in the 7th. We'll see you tomorrow.
Run Happy is simply super. He polishes off an outstanding campaign with a dominant victory in the Malibu.
No medication, no problem. Run Happy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Coming on strong.
Minute to stardom. On top, coming down to the final 16th, opening up a 2-length lead.
My love for you.
Wild About Star, shining big here in Berry 1.
Oh, why did I wrong?
Testing, 1, 2. The Star Guitar Philly leads Champagne Diva close to home. It's testing, 1, 2.
Feel my love for you coming on strong.